have something to do with economic numbers and how things move off of them. I promise you that, because it was a pretty informative, not to anchor yourself to some of the first moves that happened. But let's get on over to the professor and Adara, learn to trade.
Let's go.
Volatility all week.
That's correct, Neil. What is up, beautiful people? Welcome to How to Trade, formerly known as the Midday Show. That right there is your girl Adara, and I am Sharif, and we're watching Meta as it does a nice big flush off that 502 and a third. I took a nice little short on this one at $5, and then we rode this one down into that 498.5, but it looks like it's still going. Finding a bit of a base right now at 497. I'm expecting support at 496. You saw Neil mention the weakness on Meta towards the end of the show there. I'm seeing this top right now forming at 496 with this bull flag kind of shape that we had where that 496 acted as a level of resistance on the way up. So I'm looking for a possible bounce at that level. We'll pack our patience and see what we get there. And this is what caused me to short this name, because while we were looking, I was looking at Meta at on the 5-minute look here, and we had this topping tail candle make a big print here, and then we had a new candle to make a new low on the 5-minute chart. So that's when I punched short on META. Looks like it's holding up right now at the 10-period moving average. We'll wait until we get a better level for anything else on Meta. Good morning, Adara.
Good morning. Yeah, congrats on that meta trade. Really nice look there. This whole market has been very, to use a word that you use and the word that I saw someone use in the chat already, bamboozling. So much going up, so much going down, so much moving all around, more negative Boeing catalysts. Like it's just another day here in these markets. I'm trying to take this Microsoft dip long here. I don't love the point of entry, and I do realize that this could actually be a bit more of a short, but we're taking this till it fails 413. If it fails 413, I'm outie. I'm trying to scalp this out just shy of 414. So that's really what the look is here. I got in at 413.44, so like not the best point of entry, but that's what we're going to try to go for here. Exciting times, hopefully, for this Microsoft. What are you looking at right now, other than the Meta move?
Nothing. We're just we'll start the we'll start the lesson. So let's go into here. We're talking about trading strategies for volatile markets. We're talking about volatility all week. So if you're into that kind of thing, like today when we moved down to 18.2 on the new contract and now breaking 18.4, that's plenty of volatility for me, baby. So make sure to join us all week. So volatile markets obviously offer potential for profit, but they do require adjusted trading strategies when compared to calmer periods. Here are 3 approaches we'll talk about today. The first one are breakout strategies. So during volatile periods, prices can break through resistance or support levels a lot more readily. This can be a good time for breakout trades. You can identify support and resistance levels. So look for areas where the price has bounced off previously. That will require you, obviously, to do some charting there on the daily look. Okay, so I'm going to have to put my phone on silent because I just do not have the patience for that today. All right, so you're looking for key areas of support and resistance on the daily, hourly, or 4-hour. Identify that before the market opens. So when the volatility comes in, you're already IDing those levels, and it's not being done on a whim. That's typically how losses come in. And then wait for a confirmed breakout. So a strong price move beyond the level, whether north or south, with increased volume suggests a potential trend continuation. So as we typically always advocate on this desk, you're watching the price action and the volume together, and you're looking for that increased amount of volume to confirm what you are looking for. And make sure to set stop loss orders. Volatility can be highly unpredictable, so place stop loss orders just below support for long trades or resistance for short trades to limit your potential exposure there. There's also scalping strategies. You see the Katina man all the time on the morning show, getting in several hundred shares this, several hundred shares that. And, you know, sometimes he rides dollar winners, but he likes to focus on his scalping strategies. Scalping involves taking advantage of small, frequent movements. It can be a good fit for volatile markets because it focuses on the short term. right? So you're aiming to capture small profits quite quickly and exit the trade before the market reverses against you. And it also provides reduced exposure. You're in and out of the trades faster, limiting your risk to volatile swings. You're already in a volatile market. You don't necessarily want to catch that volatility that's going to go against you because, well, it goes both ways, right? And so you're always relying on your technical indicators. Use tools like moving averages or RSI, relative strength index, to identify entry and exit points like we talked about a lot on the show. RSI, you know, there's a few ways to use it. The one that I advocate the most is RSI price action divergence. And so when you see that, when you see the prices making new highs, but the RSI not necessarily making new highs, that should be your indication there to be on the lookout for something's afoot typically in those cases. And there's fading strategies as well. This strategy involves betting against the prevailing momentum. It can be awfully risky, but during volatile markets, sharp price movements are often followed by strong corrections. Here's how you can use it. You can identify overbought and oversold conditions. So again, you're going to try to use RSI here. Typically, RSI, well, not typically, RSI does have a scale of 0 to 100. Anything printing below that 30-point level on the RSI, typically what we consider oversold, oversold, and anything above 70, typically overbought. You could be looking at the RSI, not necessarily using it for price RSI divergence, but just to identify when the particular instrument in question is in overbought or oversold territory. No, don't rely exclusively on the overbought, oversold indicator, but add it to your, the balance of the evidence kind of thing that we always talk about, okay? And enter the opposite trades. Another strategy for fading here. If the market is rallying excessively, consider a short position. Conversely, for a steep decline, a long position might be a safe candidate. Again, you're taking a counter trend trade here, so stop losses, absolutely critical. And not placed willy-nilly. They got to be placed for a long below a key trough, for a short above a key crest. Okay, so make sure you're familiar with all the sound risk management principles there. And as it says here, fading can backfire if the trend continues. Make sure you're using tight stop losses in order to manage risk. But there's also some option strategies that we can talk about here. So there's a fourth. Thank you, Adair, for throwing that in. Wow, that's quite lengthy.
Yeah, sorry, I did not like how
it's all good. There are several option strategies that allow traders to capitalize on volatility. These include things like bull call spreads. So a bull call spread involves purchasing a long call with a lower strike and simultaneously shorting a call with a higher strike at the same expiration. The maximum gain essentially here is the difference between the long and the short call, with the trade increasing in value as the stock price rises. So I think a bear put spread is the exact opposite, with the trade increasing in value as the stock price declines. So make sure you know how to use the bull call spreads. But there's also the straddle and strangle spreads, which we talked about on this show. Go back and Google that if you want a bit more detail on it. But Adair succinctly put it over here, that the straddle involves purchasing a call and a put at the same strike price and expiration, producing a profit if the stock makes a big move in either direction. The strangle, conversely, though, involves purchasing a slightly out of the money calls and puts with the same expiration, producing a profit if an influx of volatility results in a big move in either direction. So these strategies are discussed obviously at length in our options week and on how to trade. Make sure to go back to the YouTube homepage, use the search function, type in straddle and strangle, whatever, and it'll pop up the lesson for you. I think it was a few weeks ago, right?
It was a few weeks ago. It wasn't that long ago.
Feels like a month ago now. Geez, time flies by. Yeah, so that is your look at trading strategies for volatile markets.
Yeah, and I think it's really interesting too, because it kind of makes you realize, like, you do, as someone who is a bit more of a scared trader and trying to work on that, it really makes you think about how important volatility is. Like, all of these strategies do kind of incorporate volatility in some way, and I know too, because I feel like as someone who kind of a question because I'm curious. As someone who trades a lot of these more volatile names like the futures or the Meg 7 or the small caps, I guess how do you cope with volatility and how do you, I guess, cope mentally with the volatility?
I don't know,
aspects of trading?
like you got to, I don't know, buy a punching bag. You got to do something. No, for real though. I mean, it's going to be practice, and more screen time, I guess. Really, that's all that it comes down to. Still struggling with it. Let's be real about it. I mean, I think everybody is in kind of like a permanent state of learning when it comes to trading. I don't know if anybody really knows at all.
Yeah.
So
thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah. We're all learning together here, baby. What are you looking at there, Dare? I see some triangles.
Yeah, I mean, they're not good triangles, but so what happened was I got involved here in the Microsoft. I got involved this long, and I honestly shouldn't have, because the second I punched in, I was like, Adara, this is going to be a short, but I'm also like, Adara, your instincts are bad, so try the long if you think it might be a short. That was ill-fated. And even I know you were talking off-screen to me about Meta with that topping tail candle, begging you to short it. Microsoft did the same thing. So I really should have gone short. Like, I can fully admit my mistakes. As Sharif says, we're all learning here, and that's what I'm certainly doing on this trade. But then I did go short because I watched here. I did actually watch for a bit. We had that failure again of that 413 area, 413.30 area that was kind of a trough earlier, and that was actually where I got long. So I thought, you know what, if we fail this could be interesting. We've gotten a little bit above, but we haven't gotten above in any way that's kind of held. So I'm comfortable staying on the short for the time being. We're going to scalp some of this out around 413s, save a piece for, I'm not going to call it a dream, we'll call it a nap. Save a piece for a nap here, just shy of 413. I mean, you can dream when you nap, I guess, but just shy of 413. There we go, coming up with new analogies every day. But then if we get above that 413.90, we're going to have to cut it loose and run out. Press save, control delete, and leave this Microsoft trade here. I honestly wish I had more on the horizon. I'm still getting all of my little trades set up, but please talk. There's so many small caps running.
Diamond Realty of Miami just brought my attention. Z or Z, CMD for all my Americans out there. Canadians say Z, all right? So leave me alone. We have a very similar look on what happened on ZCMD and SGLY. Adara brought SGLY to my attention. And why it got my attention is because, number one, it's a small cap gapper trading below VWAP since essentially 4 a.m., all right? And then it had a VWAP break here at around 10:30 or so. But look what it did. What my experience is when these small cap gappers are trading below VWAP for the majority of the day, morning, whatever, they typically have a hard time reclaiming VWAP and making higher highs. Typically, it's a failed break. SGLY. Now, why do I mention SGLY when I was told to look at ZCMD? Well, it's doing the exact same thing, except it's not from 4 a.m., it's from 5:30, Adara. It pops up there at 5:30 into 3 1/3, and then the entire morning, it's trading below VWAP. Lo and behold, it breaks through VWAP at 11 o'clock, and look what we do, right back down below the volume-weighted average price. These small cap gappers that can't seem to hold the volume weighted average price for the majority of the day typically have a failed break. ZCMD, SGLY, no different, and they're doing the dance right now. Now I'm looking up on my platform here and I see ZCMD is tough to borrow shorts for, as with SGLY. So I'll have to find out how much the shorts are going to cost me for that. But yeah, these two, much the same look on these two small cap gappers. Now, which small cap gappers are tradable at this particular moment? Well, let's have a look. HOLO. Who remembers HOLO? From like 3 weeks ago. I feel like this one started the craze with the 5 triple-digit small cap gappers that we would have, you know, in any one day last week and the week prior to that. HOLO kind of started the whole wave there. Now, this one's up again, bull flag-ish, getting going here at around 10:30, coming up to 684, and now we're right back down into volume-weighted average price. Unlike SGLY, though, we're really fighting to stay above that $6 area, which is where VWAP is in and around, but it's not a perfect science. We do have wicks south of VWAP as we're trading now about 10 pennies or so below the volume weighted average price. We'll have to see which one or which way this one resolves into. So HOLO on watch, but so is SELX, right? This one will probably say Celex. Sellex, yeah, okay. We could say Sellex. This one really started moving in the afternoon yesterday, Adair. I didn't even look at the headline to see why this one started moving around 130, but shot up there off that $1.88, got into 269, and now yet again it's a little up on the day. However, it's an inside day so far. We're within yesterday's high and above yesterday's low, so we're ensconced with yesterday's price action. This one had a nice dip off VWAP right at that $2 area, and you would have printed about 20 pennies or so as it made its way back up into that 1/5 of a dollar. We'll have to wait and see if this one can get a bit more volume. I got to tell you, I don't find the volume sufficient on this one. The price action looks awfully good, but the volume's a little bupkis. BA, obviously not a small cap gapper, goes without question, but this is moving on the day, and I don't have another spot for it with the Mag 7, so we're going to put it with the small cap gappers today. A bit of a V-shaped recovery, bouncing off that 184, trying to come into 186.5 right now, above the volume weighted average price. Now, here's the thing about this one. When it broke VWAP, it started using VWAP as a support level. Look at all the wicks and bounces off the volume weighted average price in and around that 185.75. And now we're at 186.75. So we're working our way up off VWAP. Now, where do we encounter resistance? I'm going to probably have to say either the 50 period over here, which is the red solid line at 187, or that pre-market consolidation low right at that 189, 189.5. I think that's as good as we can do likely on BA today. I was going to call it a disaster, but I mean, I probably can't run the company any better than they're doing at the moment either. But, you know, it's not kind of my job to do that. So.
That's true. Yeah,
it's not my job to do it, Neil says. Yeah, exactly.
I was going to say, too, I think that some of those mega caps would be insulted if you put Boeing there with the mega cap. So I think it has a good place with the small cappers right now.
Well said.
You know, honestly, because every story you hear about Boeing, the more faces you're making. I was just, my last update at the big desk, I just finished the money talks. I was ready to go over to this desk, and then I noticed another update on Boeing, and I said, this could not stand, I must report.
I love
UAL now saying that, oh, actually, yeah, we don't know when we're going to get those MAX 10s from Boeing, so.
And Southwest.
Yeah, I know Southwest was the big one this morning, too.
Yeah, and they're like, we ordered like 60 planes. We don't know when we're going to get them. We don't even know if we want them. They may fall out of the sky.
Point,
no,
too.
they didn't say that. I'm just.
Well, yeah, but the implication might have been there.
Right?
Too. Yeah. That might have been the implication.
RGLS is about to halt. They're a small cap gapper. Regulus Therapeutics, $60 million market cap. The float is on this about 20 million shares, 19.5. Here's the look on the chart. We're halted right now just south of 3 at 299. We bounced off a little shy of 250. We broke through VWAP. Yet another VWAP retake on a small cap gapper. Let me put in the ticker for you guys there, as I just noticed I hadn't put it in yet. RGLS. We're going to have to watch how this one does. The high on the day is the one that we made there at about 940, right at the open there. Not 323, excuse me, $3.23. We're halted 1 penny shy at 3.
Whew, yeah, there's a small cap central. Let me tell you, there is no shortage of small caps to parse through and choose from for the recap, because there have been so many of them. But also, too, what I've noticed today, a lot of them do have catalysts. Some of these small cap gappers you'll have moving without catalysts, thanks to a little pal called MicroCloud Hologram, as Sharif was pointing out there, because that one ran, I think it did have a catalyst at some point. Then it had another one that was also related to holograms running. So sometimes when they get started, it's a whole snowball effect. We didn't really have that today, though. We do have a lot of small cap runners, of course, but a lot of them have catalysts, including IONM, which was a small cap I actually do have my eye on. And I think if you look at this, or I guess I have my eye on M. That was an accidental pun there. But I do like the kind of ranginess of this. I don't love it. I think it looked better earlier today, but because we have had some of these higher highs now and higher lows. But I think, honestly, there's probably a dip buy opportunity here. You could maybe scalp out 10 cents. It's not anything I want to commit to without some thorough chart reading, because this is not my type of trade. I do not often tangle or tango, whatever word you'd like to use, with these small caps. But I think IONM could be interesting. So it might actually get a spot on the side charts, because I think that's one I would like to maybe keep my eye on. Also, Microsoft is being so interesting. No, I'm joking. We're literally just dancing around my point of entry still, about 5 pennies below. Oh, now we start to fall. Okay, Microsoft, keep that coming. Keep that coming. Of course, yeah, now that I say this, trying to recover here, but we're going to see what we do. If we can get 30 pennies here, I'd be pleased as punch, saving a piece for the dream, or I guess a piece for the nap, just below that 413 area. So we're going to couple beak wetters. Nothing too fancy, nothing too large of a position, but just trying to see what I can do here. Ivan Sands, thank you so much for the $4.99 super chat. IBM, two little thinking emojis. I don't know how to say that, but thank you very much for your super chat, Ivan. And IBM is an NY name. Oops, Sadara, come on, you got this. IBM is a fun one. A shout out to the Stitch lady last week telling me about this one moving, and I was able to get some scalps on this. But oh my gosh, today I have no words for this chart except upside, upside, upside. Let's see if there's any news on IBM. IBM was really strong off earnings as well, if I remember correctly. We're going to go take a look back on this one. I'm not seeing any stories on IBM, but yeah, there was a short seller speaking about it. As much as it's a risk, it's an opportunity. Or AI is as much of a risk as it is an opportunity. That was some words from Jim Chanos, but that was yesterday before market open. So doubt that's what's moving it now. What's interesting though is as we speak, we're actually seeing a move down here. So we saw a little bit of a double top. Let's switch to the 5-minute here, and then we'll switch to the daily. So we have that move up here. Oh, this kind of looks like a bearish engulfing. Maybe. Other than that wick up here on the green candle, it does look like to some extent we have a very large bearish candle engulfing that move up. So honestly, until this candle movement kind of settles, it's a little hard for me to have a look on further trajectory here for IBM, given that candle. However, I think where we are is kind of interesting, and I'll explain why I say that. We had this nice gap up here, January 24th to 25th. Was that when we had earnings? Let's find out, Adara. Let's look at the trusty Benzinga. That was when we had earnings. There we go. So we gapped up here on earnings. Then we come into this really interesting area. It's not exact, mind you, but that 190 area. We have that 190 where we close after that earnings move. Then we fall down off the 190 the previous day. Then we see a bounce around 191, 192. Today. So I think not exact area, but I think that 190, 192 area could be interesting in terms of where we fall. Not a catalyst on this one though, so it's a little bit harder to gauge the movement, and it looks like we might actually be recovering from that bearish candle. But all in all, nice look for IBM. It's one that I would probably wait for a couple candles of confirmation because it seems to be very much at a point of decision. I know Sharif and Michael Nas talk about the candles of indecision. I would say IBM is giving you those in spades right now. Oh, yeah. So we're going to have to see what's happening here. IBM, always interesting.
The Katina man is short AMD and Roblox right now. He took both short at the moment. So if you're following along with the Katina man's trade, make sure to head on over to More Trader TV. There it is right there. Thank you, Ram. And that's an entire channel. You can see the Katina man's positions on the left, Neil's positions on the right, and then there's everything that you kind of need to run your trading day there. The tickers, and the whole gauntlet there. Shout out to the undefeated production team. I got into a position on SOU, and I want to talk a little bit about this because number one, thank you. Forget who it was. I think it was, who was it that brought it to my attention? I forget. Well, I'll shout you out after. You know who you are. I just forget who it was that showed me SOUN was moving. It's not moving anything ridiculous, but I do like the chart pattern on it. And I especially like this double top here at 45.46. So if we don't hold up at this area, I've already got a DCA right there at 45.46 to defend this double top, which was previously a level of resistance. Now I'm looking for it to be support to get a better cost basis because I did punch in at 58s. We're printing 59s right now. The high of the day is 70. Let's zoom out a little bit and figure out where the resistance levels on SOUN could be. Well, we got a bit of a double top there going back to March 1st, and that's hanging out at 683. Above that, we've got two double tops here, north of 7 at near 7 3/4. So a bit of a convoluted look here on SOUN as it has been a little consolidative as of late. Let's be real about it. And so it's a little harder to chart key areas of resistance and support when there's just so many different peaks and troughs within, a couple of week period. So SOUN, we're in it right now looking to get a better cost basis at 46s. We'll see if we get that or what. And I'm also keeping eyes on Tesla. Reason is this one was awfully red. We all saw the big boy Huadunk that came there off the bell. We halted the drop at 940. We started pumping up basically from 945 onwards, and it's been interrupted up and to the right since a quarter to 10. Now we're coming in to that pivot point area. And the pivot point area, aside from it just being, it keeps repeating in its importance every day on my charts, it also happens to be the consolidation low of the pre, right? Now, again, we look at the pre-market price action with more suspicion than we do regular trading hours. However, sometimes it does give us a good gauge and a good indication. So I'm keeping my eye here to see if it starts curling down off that level and whether or not it starts, ranging in between yesterday's closing print at 177 3/4 and where pivot points is. So decisions to be made here on TSLA, but what a rocket ship this one is after a big down day, or what started to be a down day. So we'll look there. All right, we're going to wet our beak here on some profits on SOUN. If we're able to get that, there we go. So we'll ride this one. We'll see if we can take high day on SOUN. Sad that I didn't get my DCA and get a better cost basis and more share size here. But we'll take them how we can get them, baby. So SOUN on the way up. We'll look for 670 break, which is just a penny above high day.
Nice. Release those hounds. Nice move there for SoundHound. The first day that was really moving and Sharif was involved in that. I can't believe that was like a $5 break at the time. I remember we were actually howling on the live. So always interesting times to be had here and fun times at How to Trade because he says education can't be a little entertaining as well.
Why not?
Also, exactly. I am still in this Microsoft short. I don't know. That's the face I'm going to make on this because it's a little bit dicey, but we're still not above my area. We are making higher highs and higher lows though, which is quite counterintuitive. I thought this would be a scalpier move. We haven't had that move. So basically now the point is to take out about half of this. If we even get to that 413.20, I'd be happy. We'll save a piece for the dream. But at this point, I am increasingly awake. There is no dreams. I cannot sleep at night in this Microsoft trade. It's getting a skosh dicey. So we're going to have to wait and see what Microsoft gives us. I do find that Tesla interesting as well. And with regards to what you were saying about pivot points, I find it interesting too, because there have been times where I've talked about a level and then you'll be like, oh, it's right there on pivot points too, right? So it's actually interesting how even with, like, it's kind of like, is it the cart or the horse first? You know what I mean? Like you'll see a level and then it'll show up on pivots, or the pivots can show you a level. So I just think, I think they've been really interesting, and I think it's cool that you've been adding them to the trading repertoire for sure. Elon saying good morning, headmasters. Thank you for being here. Good morning to you, Elon. Yeah, I think this Tesla look is interesting, but I don't have a play on it quite yet. NVIDIA, some people thinking NVIDIA might roll over here. NVIDIA, this is not a counter trend trade that I would like to move. We were just talking about volatility and the risks of counter trend trading, immense volatility, and then also you have to, SoundHound?
RGLS, yeah.
Oh, RGLS, nice. Okay, nice.
Go ahead.
Congrats on that. Yeah, just small cap excitement here. We also have, NVIDIA, like I said, I see what you mean. There's a couple of failed wicks here up into that 911.70, almost 912, that we're not really seeing come to fruition. That being said, though, I would probably wait for a little bit of confirmation here for that NVIDIA move down. I've noticed we have a little bit of riding the 90 EMA to the upside here. So if we kind of flip the 90 EMA from resistance to support, or from support to resistance in this case, I have found, not always, because not every instrument is going to be relevant to every stock in the same way, but I found sometimes if we do have a clear support of 90 EMA that flips to resistance, or resistance flipping to support, that could be kind of interesting for levels. So I'd keep an eye on that. But right now, it still looks like you could continue to stutter step to the upside. I'm not tangoing with NVIDIA right now. This is not a dance I'd like to do. This is not a two-step I'd like to get involved with. However, I haven't looked at this game yet today, but I was seeing it while I was doing the small cap recap, and IWM, at least earlier, had some juicy levels of support and resistance that I'd like to see if they continued. So we kind of fell off those right now, but I did like, and I'm gonna see, maybe I was hallucinating these, but I liked some of these levels we had here. No, they're still here. There we go. Just joking here, but yeah, I do still see these levels. Sometimes you think you see a level and then you wait a bit and you're like, oh, that level wasn't there. When in doubt, zoom out. I do still see this level though. And that level is that 205.40. I mentioned this briefly during the small cap recap because look, we had all this chop and churn here, this massive resistance here. Right after the open, we do fall to the downside. Then we come back. We resist this once more, then we kind of see it form a support, that 205.40. So I think this could be an interesting look. Again, another example of a nice little 9 EMA bounce. We do have this failed rejection here, these wicks showing that we have buyers overwhelming sellers at this level. So this could be interesting for me, but one thing I'm trying to do less with my ETF trading is rely on the charts. I can look at the chart to see what levels are interesting, and so with that in mind, I still do find these levels of 205.40 and 205.60 interesting, but I'm gonna be relying on what's happening in the book and the tape, and not so much what's happening in the chart. Should I hop back into that IWM? Papa Powell, thank you so much for the $1.99 super chat, and thank you for your lively, situations last week with congressional and Senate hearings. No, I'm joking, but thank you to Papa Powell for the super chat. Rum will double if they get a deal with TikTok. Yeah, we'll have to take a look. Let's see how we're rumbling here with our I am. Yo ho ho and a bottle of rum, I guess. Okay, yeah, this is interesting. The candle wicks here are a little bit bamboozling. I was trying to think of another word, but they really are bamboozling. We're seeing a little bit of chop and turn, like we could be accumulating maybe for a potential move up here on RUM from this 767. We had this massive candle, this is a 5-minute candle, 11:05. We popped right into 775. Then we chop and turn. Now we're actually falling to the downside with a bit of a viciousness here. So we're gonna have to see what we do on RUM, but I think this could be an interesting one to tango with. For sure, I like these moves up here. Let's look at the daily with regards to that prediction that we could double with that TikTok move. Ooh, okay, okay. I like these levels. I got very excited there. Ooh. Yeah, so drew that too soon. There we go. I like the levels. We're kind of, we actually have more. Oh, didn't have my little tool there. There we go. I think we could actually get a little bit interesting here. And this is an exact level, mind you, but we have more or less that 7 area. It's nice support. We had it here back into October 2022. Wow. Then we bounce off a little bit higher, about 755. Again, we have this bounce a couple times here. This could be a new level. Then we come back to bounce off that 7 area a couple times, August 2023. Then we see this bounce again in this March area. So I think this is interesting. Generally though, the downtrend's gonna be lower highs, lower lows. I think if we can eclipse this area of this 820 that we kind of got up into when we had that initial news of that Dave Portnoy move, I think that with Dave Portnoy and Barstool Sports having this deal with rum, I think if we can break above this level that we saw there, that could be a little bit spicy. But yeah, thank you very much for your super chat. And I think Rumble needs to make, kind of get out of that downtrend a little bit to get exciting. But yeah, the Microsoft short is still, I should have probably played my range a little bit better and gotten this 413.60 to 413.30 area. That probably would have been smarter. Right now though, we're in the trade and I have no reason to leave because I'm waiting for that previous area to break. So we're gonna have to see here. We might have to reevaluate. But right now, I'm still in Microsoft. How go your trades?
I'm short Tesla in the money on this, short 39s. We just wet our beak at $0.25. Looks like we might be coming in at 178. We're looking for a rejection off pivots, but this is a counter trend trade, which is not my cup of tea. So if it comes back in, I'm gonna cut it. I'm not gonna let this go against me. But I'm looking for ideally that 178-ish level if we can get the entire thing out. And there it is. Nice. Nice. Okay, so we called that right off pivots, 178.75 HOD on Tesla. We waited for it to put in a red candle right at pivots and then took that short. So I'm pleased with this trade. It's not the biggest of size, but it's just about getting the reps right and getting the timing right. And after the last few days that I've had, I like some wins, get the confidence back, get the repetitions back, and see if we can continue to spiral from here. So took that bad boy short. Now, I'm also looking at Meta because, well, I don't want to, say this is a double top because what I feel is we have a higher close, even though the wick is higher on the initial move up. But look where the closing prints are. So last time we closed at, in this crest I'm talking about, 543, and this one we closed at 501.60. So $1.20 from close to close. So we put in a higher high. And right now it's a higher low. But I was looking at Meta, generally rejecting that 500 area. Right now we're up 3.5% on this name, but I felt, there was something to look for there. But if it's going to put these hammer candles and continue to print higher, then I'm not going to stand in front of this monster, which is obviously Meta. Anyway, we'll see what we get. I was watching 500 to see if there was any resistance showing up there. It doesn't look like there is. The other trade that was really, really good on the day, whoever was looking at Amazon today, I think you got paid some way, somehow, if you went long, because there was not too many red candles on this way up. And by way up, I'm talking from 172 to 176 3/4. Nary a red candle. Right? I mean, you had a red candle every now and again, and typically it was not very decisive. It looked like a candle of indecision, owing to the very small body and the higher, the longer wicks than the length of the body. And then we're getting kind of this consolidation move here. Lo and behold, it's at resistance level 2 on pivots, hanging out generally in that 176 3/4, and now it's looking at coming back and testing 176, breaking through the 10 EMA. So where do we find support on Amazon if we want to get long? Can't just punch willy-nilly. I'm liking this 175 just for the number, the 3/4 area, as well as the fact that it's where VWAP is at the moment. So some nice confluence between VWAP and that 175. I'm not saying Amazon's going to drop a buck and hold up at 175, but it's something to be aware of, something to look out for in the same way that I'm looking at that possible 500 resistance on META. So we'll keep an eye out there. What else? Let's flip back to some of these small cap gappers, see what we're up to. We're doing bupkis right now on SOUN. It's holding up at 655. I'm waiting for my order at 646 that is, to defend this double top here on SOUN. If that comes in, that gives me a better cost basis. But my line in the sand is going to be VWAP. And VWAP not that much lower than where the double top is hanging out. The double top is at 44, 45. VWAP's at 34. So that gives me a good amount of room between perceived support and my line in the sand, which is VWAP. So I only have to risk about 10, 15 pennies to test out this double top trade. Already printed on it, already wet my beak there through the break of 65, so I was able to get a dub on it in case, you know, it does go against me. We got a little bit of a cushion there. Now, I was yelling while Adair was dropping hot lines about RGLS. This one shot up. Shout out to Diamond Realty of Miami for shouting this one out too. But, you know, there doesn't seem to be follow through today, sadly, on these small cap gappers. When we do have a break of VWAP, we're immediately met with a wall of selling, bringing us either below or right back to VWAP. And case in point, the two other SGLY and whatever I talked about earlier.
ZCMD?
Thank you. You have a really good memory. ZCMD, sorry, not SGLY, but RGLS kind of doing the same thing, even though now it's making me look bad a little bit because it's holding above VWAP. I was just about to say all the small cap gappers breaking VWAP, then failing below them. Well, this one put in a bit of a bottoming tail candle here, right at the volume weighted average price, given around that $2.75 area. Now it's back into that $2.90 area. This one could present us with opportunities if it is able to hold and stay above the volume weighted average price. It's got all the check marks. Definable pre-market high, check. Did we break that definable pre-market high after the bell? Check. Is it trading above VWAP? Check. So RGLS, definitely on my radar for small cap gapper world trading if it is able to hold above the volume weighted average price. So is SOUN, although I feel this is a bit of a different trade. It's not a hit it and quit it. It seems to keep coming back because, well, NVIDIA's dropped money into this company, so, you know, it's got a lot of people's attention. Anyway, SOUN hanging out at the $0.50. We're about 8 pennies out of the money, but we're really looking for that 46 hold where we have a DCA.
Yeah, no, awesome job in that Tesla trade, and I appreciate what you said, like just trying to like step back in the ring and feel a bit more comfortable every day, because that's something I'm absolutely trying to do as a new trader who has had a rough day yesterday. I'm going to be really honest. We had a pretty rough week last week as well. Today also, you know, as I was saying yesterday, there's the only way to go is up. And that's what I'm going to try to treat this. Although right now I'm in a short, so I'd like it if we went down. But yeah, I'm in this Apple short. I was going to make that face because I don't know. I got involved, though, because I did like what I was seeing with regards to some of these ranges.
This is your trade right here.
Thank you, yeah. I got involved a little bit later in the movement because I was trying to punch in during this red candle, then we flipped to this green one here. So I was not attempting, that was not the goal, is to punch into this massive move up here. If we stay below this 172.9, I'd be pleased as punch, because what I'm noticing is we get up there, then we have all of these wicks here that show the sellers overwhelming buyers, and then we fly back to the downside, then we bounce back up. So the goal is to deposit shares at the bottom of the range as we go. I did not get the best price I could have gotten in this because I wanted to get involved, and then I was like, you know what? I was trying to get it in the back end, and then we can always add as we get higher. If we fail this 172.90 area, I might add to this. It looks like we might not fail this, though, so I'm going to be keeping my eye on Apple and see how this is Tim cooking, hopefully to the downside. Let's look at Microsoft. We did get out of the same. We broke above that 413.90, so I had to say sayonara. I think we got it at like 413.89s. But also, this kind of, you know, as something Neil said last week that I'm really trying to live up to is your losing trades should be boring. This is a boring trade, so I have no regrets. I have no complaints.
Absolutely.
Just, you know, trying to keep going off. It looks like we're going to make a new all-time high in Microsoft. It's interesting. I initially had the long. The long actually turns out it was right. I just didn't have the timing of it quite perfectly. So, yeah, Contrarian, this is interesting. How would you assess your micro range strategy after about a month of using it? Could you scale this up to make a living with? Honestly, I think the thing is right now is I don't think my instincts are good enough for me to be honest here. The thing is I'm only trading about 3 hours a day, right? I'm trading basically during the midday. So I honestly think I need to probably have more time. And by time, I mean like more, I guess, like months or weeks just looking at this and trying it. But I don't want to be too hard on myself about this right now. This is a strategy that I feel more comfortable in. I think when I execute it properly, it's going well. But speaking of things going well, I see a bear and I see Sean hanging out with that bear. What trades? Short AMD 202. Yeah, Sean's fingers are like flying. I look over there and there's like typing, order, wow.
50 cents on Roblox, $2+ on AMD as it just dipped below 200. It's doing the dance right now with 200. So shout out to the Katina man for not letting that one off the hook there. All right, I just got to update everybody on this trade that I have on SOUN. We got the dip at 46. So now the line in the sand is going to be the volume weighted average price. Again, if you're wondering what caused me to get in at 46, there's an obvious, well, let's not say obvious, but there was apparent to me double top in and around this area. So clearly a previous area of resistance. I'm looking for it to act as support now. That gives me a new cost basis at 47. So we'll see if we're able to hold up at this level or we're going to dip down. What's up, Katina man? Well, AMD just dipped again now below 200. AMD's on the way down, 199.50s. It's on the way down, possibly lower. Keep your eye on more Trader TV Live if you want to know what the Katina man is trading, but he's taking short Roblox, and he's taking short on AMD right now. Shout out to him. All right, so let's cover this trade. So my line in the sand, let me just tell you exactly where my volume weighted average price is at 35. So if this one doesn't hold up at these levels, we're going to cut it. It's going to have to start curling back up awfully soon. I don't want it to dip anywhere below 34. So we're going to go ahead and put our stop in. I'll just send it to you while I put my stop out of there.
Yeah, no worries. Kyle Burdett's showing you some love here in the chat as well with that Tesla trade. So nice looking. Congrats. Yeah, there's lots of opportunities in this market. Apple fell a little bit. Now what I'm worried though, and it's a little bit hard to see with the wicks on this chart, but now I'm worried that maybe we can see better in the 5-minute, that this area that I thought was going to be the bottom, I think I might have, basically, I think we had a higher low, and now I've ended up entering the short near the bottom of the range. Probably should have waited, in all honesty, for the top of that range instead of trying to get in on the back end. It turns out I might have gotten in at the beginning in a different movement, but that's okay. We're still at my area of interest. Like we got in where I got in. Where I entered, so I have no reason to leave quite yet. We're starting to fall a little bit. If Apple makes it below that 172.50, I would be pleased as punch. That would be the first step to its little descent to the downside here. I guess that's a little bit redundant, but that's okay. Let's see what Apple does. Let's see if we have a little bit of a Tim Cook to the downside. Meta also kind of interesting to me, although as you said it, this is not something you want to step in front of because Meta is a monster. And Meta spreads lately have been a little crazy. Right now it's about 10 cents, but I know yesterday I think you or Sean or both were mentioning a 30-cent spread on Meta at one point. Meta is one that I feel like I used to tango with a little bit more, and then the spreads got a bit wild for my taste. However, you know, we're seeing higher highs, higher lows. If we continue to kind of see this hold up, especially this is on the 5-minute here, this could get interesting for me, but I don't want to assume. I want to wait. I want to wait and let the trades come to me. You know what I mean? Like I want to be able seeking them out, but I don't want to assume where they're going to go. Thank you. Yeah, this Tesla, this could be like an interesting getting involved in the momentum to the downside type short. Not my typical type of trade, but we did fail that 9 EMA, which as I said, I sometimes find interesting as support resistance level. Tesla's like, I don't care about this level, bye-bye. Continuing to go to the downside. That was very, you know, that you entered that short at an awesome level, and I do think there might be.
Is this still going?
Yeah, it might be a little bit of room in this, so I might get involved in this, but it's not really my type of trade, so I'm gonna have to be cautious with that. I do think the Apple range might have flipped on me, so that might be something I have to keep an eye on, but right now I have no reason to leave because we're still very much within the confines of that trade.
Fiddleback. Can we all agree to maybe toss in a couple of what is tickled?
It's like another like I'm tickled pink.
Between all the praises punch, I've never heard that before.
It's a similar phrase. I can. You know what? I'd be tickled pink.
You get so people. Okay, I see it.
Like
all right.
blush.
So people, they turn red or they turn pink when they're laughing up a storm.
I guess, yeah.
Is that what it is? Tickled pink?
If you're happy, like, oh, that tickles me pink.
Or if I tickle you, you turn pink. I'm assuming
that could also be what it is.
Or like laughing
that
up
laugh.
a storm. Okay. All right. Cool.
Nice.
I like that. I love learning these new expressions. So shout out to Fiddleback because, well, I just learned something new. So shout out to him or them. Adara, we're coming into that 18.4 on the new contract. That's the June contract, guys. So we've now officially rolled over. And as I see it on my volume look there, the new contract has done 461,000 contracts. The March contract, which expires on Friday, is only done 179,000. So we're like triple the amount of volume now on the new contract as we are on the expiring contract. But we're right at 18.4 right now, or just a little bit below right now. So what I'm looking for is support. You know how much I love these 100-point levels, both for shorts and longs. So let's see if we hold up at these levels and then we start curling and get it on the back end, as my friend Neil likes to say. It's also coming in off resistance level 2 on pivots. Now, I got to tell you, looking now, the futures traded today, it really hasn't respected pivot points all that much. So I'm less inclined to want to base off anything off pivots as I am off the 100-point level. Right now, we're doing the wick shimmy dance from the north side, in the meaning that we're coming to 18.4, bouncing off and going a little bit above. What I look for is when we're south of the 100-point level, when we come into it, are we wicking down, rejecting off that level? And when we're north of it, I look at us bouncing off that level as a key indication of, you know, whether support or resistance is actually coming to play here. So keeping an eye on the future at these levels. And you had Meta coming down as well, which is helping precipitate a down move. Tesla as well. NVDA, even though it's up 5.25%, a little bit of a rejection, or not a rejection, a pullback off that 912. It looks like it's coming into 900. That's another level that we should be aware of. Katina, man, what's going on over there? Short on AMD still?
Watch out for NVIDIA 900.
That's what I just finished saying. Yeah, the Katina man agrees with that. He's like, watch out for NVIDIA 900. That $100 level could present us with a good area of support, especially in light of the fact that it's up 5 1/3 on the day. So we're definitely going with the trend. Whether or not we get that exact 900 touch or we're going to have to front run it a bit, an entirely different story there. We're going to have to pack our patience and see what we get. A lot of trades today. The Katina man's up $5 on ARM now, as he just put in the chat. Shout out to him, and shout out to Big Patty Ice. I hear him smashing the desk back there. I don't know what he's up to, but we'll find out later once Neil starts dropping hot lines on the lesson of the day with Neil. Here comes SOUN in the 655. I've got my first beak wetter there. It's going to have to cross 55s in order for me to get printed. Right now, there's some size showing up at that level, and for right now, we're going to top off at that 55-cent level, so we'll have to pack our patience.
Yeah, there's certainly patience to be packed here in this Apple trade, which is now a whopping 6 cents below my point of entry. So as a short, I'm happy. But yeah, no, all jokes aside, thank you. I'm just trying to be patient, trying to see what's working here. Honestly, yeah, this Tesla, as much as it's not my type of trade, I do like Tesla, but also we could maybe be curling up a little bit here. And why this might be an interesting area is because look where we had a little bit of a pause in that rally earlier, around the same area. So I would wait for a bit of confirmation, but I think there could be some opportunities to be had in Tesla. To me, though, this meta long looks a little bit better. And I say that because higher highs, higher lows, much like this earlier long setup, we did have a little bit of a pause in the movement, and then we run right back up. This does make me nervous, A, because of the spread, B, because it's meta. There's no C. There's only two, A and B. But I think, honestly, you know what? If you see an opportunity, sometimes you have to take it. I think this is probably a less risky opportunity than some of the other trades I've been making this day and week. Cough, cough, some of those Microsoft decisions that were being made. So if we hold up here above that 498, I'm going to wait for another candle here. But I think this could be an interesting look here for me for this meta. I like the setup, and I like that we're kind of seeing these higher highs, higher lows. We're up 3% in a day in a market that has given you lots of volatility and some movements in either direction. So I think I have no issue with this. I think we might get involved. I just want to wait for a little bit more confirmation. Google, also kind of interesting in Mag 7 land, as you sometimes call it, Mag 7 world. Google kind of having a little bit of a range here. I don't want to say flat bottom break, but we have, a little bit of a bottom here, 138. Lower high, lower high, lower high. this is one that I want to wait again for some more confirmation, but I think given that this is a 5-minute look, I think this could be a very interesting look here to get involved in this potential short. Congrats to Robert Quinones here. Beautiful AMD short on that break of the 50 EMA break back at $200.75. Congrats to you. I know earlier, I believe you mentioned that you were long AMD, so it's always cool when you're able to like switch it up. I know Sean was also involved in that short, so congrats to both of you. AM destroying that trade. Also, that reminds me of ARM. I know Sean was involved in ARM. ARM was alarming the market. It was disarming the market. Yeah, this is a really nice look here. How are you doing here in SoundHound,
Killing it
though?
on SOUN. Literally got bottom wick off that clear area of support, the double top. We wet our beak through 55. Here comes 65 on SOUN, up 10 1/3, 10 3/4 now. Looking for a possible high at day touch. If we can get in and around 666s or even 667, we'll look to flatten out here. But a good trade. I'm happy with this trade. Not because it made a lot of money. That's not really what it is. And it didn't make a lot of money, straight up. What I'm trying to do is trying to get back into my groove and, you know, ID key areas of support and resistance, get trades off there, get the confidence back, and then we can hit it with size. I'm pleased as punch with this trade, or I'm pink with tickle or
Tickled pink.
Tickle. Jeez. All right, there we go. There's 666s, and that's the end of the trade. I'm spending the money on this, even though this made no money, but I'm pleased as punch with it. SOUN. Rinse and repeat style trade. Again, if you're wondering why I got into this, it was a clear area of support over here, owing to this double top, which was formerly resistance. We come back right into 645, a random level to have support. It wasn't the $0.50, it wasn't the volume weighted average price, it wasn't anything of that. It was price action support. And we put the price action, we put the order where the price action support was, and we got paid. So I'm really happy. CLRO review, please. Sure. Yes, boss, Nimit. Nimit, boss. I'm going to call you Nimit boss from now on. He's always demanding that I review all these trades. Like, got to review this.
Clear one.
Yeah. CLRO, let's have a look. I think I already had it up earlier, and then I took it off.
Yeah, it was a dividend announcement, that one. Yeah.
Oh, was it?
Yes, it was.
Oh, okay, they're paying a dividend. How much money is this company making?
50 cents. I think it might have been a one-time dividend, though.
Are you serious? Are
yeah.
they trade? Oh, they 1.3 PE. At least they're making money, this company, so it's not bad. All right, $46.5 million market cap. Again, I don't have the float on this for some reason. Let's bring in trade ideas, see if they have the float on this. CLRO. Okay, so Trade Ideas says 11.5 million share float, also negligible short float according to Trade Ideas. 1% of that 11.47 million is shorted, so nothing we really need to concern ourselves about. Nimit, you know how I feel about these small cap gappers. Nimit boss, you know how I feel. There has to be the 3 check marks, right? So there has to be a definable pre-market high. Do we have a definable pre-market high? Yes, I would say that 183 or thereabouts. Actually, let's keep going a little bit here. See, it gets a little convoluted because we started moving towards the open, but it was $1.96. I think that's the high that we broke there right at the open. It has to also be above the pre-market high, so 2 check marks there. But it has to also be above volume-weighted average price, and this one is kind of breaking down below it, Nimit. And in fact, when it tried to reclaim it, we were met with a VWAP rejection. So for some reason, I feel like the shorts are in control of these small cap gappers today because there just seems to be all these VWAP rejections on these small cap gappers. I don't know if that's by design or that's a market trend. Anyway, we're below the volume-weighted average price, which is hanging out at $2.04. We're printing 194, 195 right now. The good news is we're holding the 50-period moving average, which is the red solid line on my chart. If we can get and hold Nimit above that level, above the volume-weighted average price, we'll base something off this, but it's got to have that check mark beside its name. I can't trade it. Well, I can, but I won't. I won't trade it if it's trading south of VWAP. That's just my rule. I mean, call me crazy, but you know, we all have to have rules for our trading setups. Otherwise, what's the point? Anyway, I'll keep my eyes on SOUN. Looks like we had a 670 touch right now. And if we break above 670 and then look to come back and retrace into 670, I'll be looking for 670 as support in the exact same way that I did with the previous area high of 645. Once we broke it, I looked for it to act as support. So if we get that with SOUN, I will trade it. And so we shall see. SELX, though, continuing to give you VWAP bounces. Again, I don't want to advocate too much for this name because it is light on volume. Let me tell you exactly how much volume it's doing on the day. I mean, it's a $2 name, and it's done 1.25 million shares. That's just not enough. But the fact of the matter is the price action is solid. It's above the volume-weighted average price, and every time it comes into VWAP, it's bouncing off and giving you plenty of room. Like, initially bounced off $2, and it made its way up to 220. Again here, bounces off $2 again, which is where VWAP is. It gave you 15 pennies. So if you size into this one, there may be some opportunities off the volume-weighted average price, but who knows how long that trade lasts for before we give up the ghost at VWAP. So SELX continuing to print. RGLS trying to get back Diamond Realty of Miami into the volume-weighted average price, but still south of that. Same thing with SGLY. So I'm going to have to respectfully decline to trade them until something changes there. Nimitz says, please no, boss. Just younger bro who is older than you. No, it's Nimitz boss from now on. Just like it's Big Caliber Debt and Dan the Man Emmons, it's Nimitz boss.
I like that you have nicknames not only for people here, but also people in the chat.
I've been thinking of one for you because I have not bestowed a nickname upon you. And I don't know how everyone feels about this, but I like Adara Panera. Because when I first met her, I'm like, hey, Adara, is it Adara or Adara? And she's like, no, it's Adara like Panera.
Did I say that?
You did.
I thought, oh, okay. I usually say mascara. That's interesting.
No, you said Panera.
I believe that I said Panera. Okay.
And then, in addition to that, the fact that you said that, you're the pun queen. And Panera, Panera, Adara Panera. I think. Oh, Ram is claiming she came up with that. Maybe she did. Maybe she put it in my mind and like I didn't even realize.
I like that.
It's Adara Panera from now on. Neil, how do you feel about that? He loves it. Neil's confirmed it's going. So we're going with that. Adara Panera. And it's been a while. Me and you have been doing this show together for a minute.
That's crazy.
We've been doing it at least from October, if not from earlier. I don't remember exactly when you and I started the show.
This is awesome, yeah.
Yeah, finally
a nickname
has been bestowed upon Adara. It's Adara Panera.
Appreciate that. Yeah, you're gonna help. I mean, I'm not making any Panera bread in these trades. Let me tell you that we're not making any bread. You'd think with that nickname I'd be making some more Panera bread.
Hey, you never know. You never know. Don't count it out.
Appreciate that.
What are you looking at over there?
I'm looking at Meta. Honestly, like I said, though, I'm really trying to take to heart that whole thing. If the trade's boring and you lost, that's okay. We lost. We made a lower low. I said goodbye. We're out of Meta. I did like the look here. Now it is a red candle, but at the time it was green. We did buy into it because we had a little bit of a positive move up. It just didn't last. That's okay. On to the next one, as Jay-Z says, and as I also say now, and as Obi says, where's the next trade? We're still in Apple. Apple has been a bit of, you call it the dead one. Apple's kind of been the dead one in this range. We're making higher highs, or we're making lower highs, sorry, but we're also having a hard time making lower lows, which as someone in a short would be ideal. But we haven't really, except for that big move up here and then that fall down, we haven't really been outside within 10 pennies of my point of entry in either direction for the last 10 minutes. So I have nothing to say here. I'm okay with this trade. We haven't broken below the new high. When I say that new high, we haven't broken above that 170.290, which was the area that I was looking at for as a point of resistance. So we're going to stay in this for now. Oddly enough, the trade that I abandoned earlier might be the most interesting for my range purposes, and that is going to be Microsoft. Look at this chop and churn we get around that 9 EMA. We're running around here like little mice. I like this look. And I've noticed that 413.30 to 413.70, this is about a 40-cent range. And it's like, Adara, you keep talking about this and you're not walking the walk. I was involved in this and I was just, fumbling my way around, although no fat finger. So I am proud of that. No fat finger trades, but a lot of fumbling. So we're going to not fumble the ball. We're going to hopefully make a touchdown into this Microsoft range. I think we're going to try getting cooking on that. Right now, though, nothing to report with regards to Apple. Tesla, also interesting. I said I didn't want to get involved in this short because I noticed we could have been curling back up in that earlier area. Curl back up, we did. Congrats to you, though, on that short because it's still an awesome look. Also, shout out to Caleb English, I believe, in the chat, mentioning SoundHound. I know you also were a fan of SoundHound. You guys howling together to the upside on that trade, so congrats to you guys. Yeah, this Tesla could be interesting, especially now that we have this defined range, and let me draw it. in case anyone asked for my, questionable little trend lines. Let's put them on the chart. I find this to be kind of an interesting look here. And why I say that, I also use 2 different trend lines. That's cool. I like that we had this support turned resistance here at 178.50. We also had this resistance turned support at 177. That gives you about $1.50 worth of range, and we're actually having a really hard time eclipsing this area. So this could be a little bit tasty. I think I might take a bite here of this Tesla move. Right now, that we're just going to continue to watch Apple kind of languish and see what I can do in that Microsoft range. How goes your trades? Looking back at the Hound?
Nothing. Yeah, I'm looking at it because if it comes back into that 670 Adair, like we said, I want to get it back on that previous area of resistance, which 670. Hopefully, new area of support, but it's going to have to clear it by a little bit because it's on its way up, baby. Here comes 675. We're up 12 2/3. There goes 675. Here comes 676. Looks like we're going to go 13% on the day. NVIDIA's money and investment is not to be discounted, I guess, because, well, this one keeps showing up every day on the scanner here and presents us with more opportunities. Not really sure exactly what the latest catalyst for this is, but do you really need a catalyst when NVIDIA invests in you, right? They probably don't get the entire position right away, too, right? Who knows? Anyway, 675 on the way. We'll see what we get if it comes back down into 670. But something is working here for the shorts, Big Kyle. And I think it goes by the name of Meta, because look at this double top here off that general 502-ish area, okay? First one passes 502. The second top doesn't quite make it up at 502, 501 1/3. But this one has absolutely given you that print. It's been uninterrupted, 5-minute red candles in a row, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and we're on our 7th right now. I want to see what this thing does at the volume weighted average price and this general price action area over here. Look at the IB high. Shout out to Dan the Man Emmons for showing me this this whole IB high, IB low thing, which is typically used on the future. 495 or thereabouts. Okay, so we have the IB high area as a possible area of support. Now, look what else is hanging out at 495. The volume weighted average price. So I'm very interested, and we're about 20 pennies away from this area. Meta is absolutely coming down now. This thing was up, I believe, over 3 3/4%. Now we're down at 2 2/3. Here comes 495. We're now showing 495s. Look for this to bounce off and get it on the back end, as my friend Neil likes to say, who'll be on in a minute. But Meta coming back down aggressively off that 502.31 high. 495 is where the IB high is, also where the volume weighted average price is. Not going to just put an order out there willy-nilly to catch it and then punch and pray and hope that it comes back up. We're going to need to see a holding of support here and then the curl back up. If we don't get it, then there's no trade. Meta, big retracement on the way down. Still positive on the day, though, 2 1/3%. So Packer patience here. Well, I'm just talking to myself. Let's pull up. Yeah, we already have Meta on. So we're going to be watching Meta here. We got it on the trading screen. Let's see if it curls back up.
Yeah, I mean, Meta is interesting. I did get swept up in that move to the downside, so Meta is one that I will not be keeping my eye on, but I do like that whole concept of that bounce there at 495. I also like the concept of getting a fill in Apple. I'm so pleased. I'm tickled pink. I'm pleased as punch. I like this look here in Apple. I have another piece for the dream here, or I guess nap. If we get up to that 172, I like the area that we had a little bit of kind of chop and turn around earlier. If we get to 172, I'm getting out the rest of the position. If we bounce here, I like this range, so I'll keep jumping within the range. I'm very pleased with that. Also, I have to shout out the reactions to the nickname are pretty funny, including Shannon Gregory saying, plus Panera has some serious caffeine energy, which because you do have Panera bread and that, those caffeinated lemonades.
Right, I know.
And I know I'm actually less caffeinated than I think is often assumed that I am. But I mean, I understand I have a lot of energy, so
you do.
Makes sense. And yeah, I thought that was pretty funny there as well. But yeah, this is interesting too. I'm just seeing this one from Ram Yariv in the chat. Marvell, not Ram, but I guess someone else named Ram. So shout out to you, Ram Yariv. Marvel Hanging Man. Let's look at Oh, Marvell's interesting. Okay, so generally a move to the downside, but some of these lower highs for sure. I think too, if we can make a lower low, I think that would be interesting. Look, let's look at the 5-minute chart. It's just one that we've talked about a lot of chips today, or I've been thinking about a lot of chips, and this is one that I haven't given any attention to. And we had earnings last week, so how dare I ignore Marvell? And I think, yeah, there's certainly a lot to marvel at with this. On the 5-minute, you have a pseudo double top here at this 72.86. Could be some levels here. Looks like it could be a little bit rangy, but yeah, nice move to the downside here. Thank you for mentioning this one, so I can take a look at it here. RAM. Also, yeah, Roger here just saying Quadunkit, and I mean, yeah, as someone who's in a short, I'm done. How's the meta long going? Oh, that got to that level way faster than I thought it was going to get to that level.
Yeah, just literally got in. We'll find out. Trying to hold 495s. I got a B quitter out for 496s, so we're going to have to hold the 495 because I've got a tight stop below the 495 break right now. We're holding up, but who knows exactly what happens here. We're now below 18.4 on the new contract, so that's not good for this meta long, VWAP or not. So we're going to have to definitely have an eye on VWAP, have an eye on the future, because if we continue to be below 18.4 here and then start pumping back down where VWAP is, which is in between the quarter level and the half level here, I don't think this meta trade, support or not, subsists. I'm probably going to have to get out. We'll wait and see. Neil is ready, though. He's ready to go with Neil's lesson of the day. Let's send it to him.
Welcome, your trading lesson of the day. How can you make money off economic releases? Inflation's a big deal right now. CPI, PPI, what is the Fed going to do? Where are rates going to be? That's a big one in these markets. Whether it's labor data, you want to get that jobs report out there and try to take advantage of it. But the thing that everyone always gets trapped on is you get that expectation that fundamentally whatever makes logical sense with regards to an economic release is what the market is supposed to do. You cannot get married to that notion. You've got to have the ability to be mentally flexible and understand the market's going to go any way that it wants to go. You've got plenty of time to gather information when there is an economic release, especially the 830 ones, which is what I'm going to focus on before you get into the open. So I'm going to give an example based on today of what happened with the Qs. We had a CPI report and inflation came in a little bit hot. Now you would expect inflation's hot, higher for longer, not good for tech, not good for the markets. One would naturally think, well, the Q should go down if it's a hot number. Well, that's not what happened here, because what ended up happening was a spike to the upside at 830. Now there's one line you hear me say in the live show every single time, and I usually tweet out the same morning as an economic release. Do not overreact to the initial move. Just because the first move was down, if you just start turning all bullish, the market hasn't even opened yet. We don't have any opening volume. So if you looked at that first initial move and you're gathering information, there's a few points that are going to come out when we're talking about individual stocks a little bit later about gathering that info. If you're not long on the initial break and you don't get something right away, and you probably weren't looking long on that hot number, then a lot of times you can be wondering, where is it going to start to make sense? Well, we top out here 441. By the time you get to the open, you're then rejecting a lower high, and suddenly you're following the initial plan, which was, hey, a hot number and we should have a little bit of a falling market. So if you marry yourself to the first move, you end up getting in at highs, or you could be getting in the pre-market. When by the time it gets to the open, it's actually looking like a bit of resistance has gotten put in there. So never chase that ridiculous first move unless it's showing you trend, right? So the initial move does not show you trend by the time it gets to the open. If anything, it was lower highs. That can be what patience rewards you with. You then see that lower high at the open, and you could have probably smashed at least a little bit of a short through the low of the day. But the one thing that I think you always want to do here is look for relative strength and weakness. Because I'll tell you, I'm showing you the NASDAQ, I'm showing you a high and a lower high. But if you can go into information gathering phase and you're patient and looking for that better opportunity, then you might find something like this. Initial pop at 830 in the market, Microsoft goes up. When the market flushes, Microsoft barely breaks that low. Remember what we saw with the Qs there. So you broke the bottom underneath that data release number and then continued lower in the NASDAQ. Instead, Microsoft at the open has already bounced off the lows, and at 9:30, it's breaking out the tops. So when the market's failing back in, Microsoft is breaking out past what level? The release high. Now, when you have data releases, what the first thing that's going to happen at about 8:29 is bids and offers are going to drop. Anyone watching a level 2 is going to see spreads open up. You're going to see the algos not making markets. You're going to see a lot less liquidity than normal. Then when the release happens, you're going to get momentum into certain levels. And where there is a market again becomes good information in key technical levels. And that's what ends up being provided to you with Microsoft, because when it made that top after 8:30 on CPI, this ends up being the perfect place to look for the dip back in. Now, when it broke the highs and the NASDAQ was going down, it established itself as strong because it was going counter trend to what was that lower high setup on the Qs. Then when it bounces back in here, you see it try to get back underneath the CPI high, I'm going to call it. There's your wick under, and look at the tremendous amount of follow through when it gets back above that high. Now, if you're in information gathering mode, you can scan stocks looking for relative strength and weakness, something that didn't drop as much as the Qs did, as I showed you, like a Microsoft. Then look for that key level to set back up there again. It's about 407.5. And then suddenly you can find your way into a better trade. Now, there were obviously some good longs all over the place. I mean, I could point to something like NVIDIA, which is a similar setup, but Microsoft, I think, technically was a little bit easier. The other way to look at it, Microsoft, of course, being relatively strong at that open, NVIDIA wasn't necessarily. However, once again, what's the level we're looking at? We're looking at the resistance on that 830 number. The top on the 830 number was $882 on NVIDIA. The top at 9:30 at the open was $882 on NVIDIA. The high at 10 o'clock was $882 on NVIDIA. Well, what breakout do you think was did it accelerate through? 882. So if you take a step back, you don't have to overtrade these. It set up a level. Now, it didn't look relatively strong at the open like Microsoft did, but it provided you with the level. Once, then you saw it again, and you waited for it, and then when 82 broke, off to the races for NVIDIA. So if you wait for key levels to be shown to you when an economic release comes out, suddenly you're going to have a bit of a blueprint to trade after the fact and get these explosive reversal trades. Now, it's not always all roses, because you're going to find situations where the exact opposite happens. You look at something and it's just it's relatively weak. Everything about it sets up the other way. AMD, at 8:30, you had the pop up, it makes the high at about 202, it rejects the high again, and then look what happens. When the market rallies, this thing can't even break back above previous support. That looks like a relatively weak name. Now, generally speaking, I'm going to look for follow through, gets under VWAP, breaks that local bottom here. I'm looking for a consolidation to short. I'm thinking it's going the other way. I'm thinking NVIDIA is along at that point. I liked it, and obviously there's both in the chip space, but the setup is the setup. It looked relatively weak. It's okay to be wrong. It's not okay to stay wrong. Once it violated my rule of getting back underneath or above that support, I'm going to jump out of the trade and then do what? If I'm bearish on it thinking it's relatively weak, nothing. Not until it goes back up to what level? The 830 CPI high. When it gets up there and shows me a wick top, then you can try shorting it again. And when it breaks it, get out, back underneath, short that. So let it set up that key price level. And there's a key here. Every single one of those trades is keyed off of the top of the move at 8:30. And I said at the beginning, do not chase or overreact to the initial move. If you're hitting that high on any of those things, it ends up being a top multiple times. Eventually it works for the longs, but it's the worst spot to have gotten in. But if you key it off and look at that level later on in the day, it ends up setting things up for you and gives you obvious trading levels to get behind. Trading is all about timing, reasons to enter, reasons to exit. When you get an economic release, especially at 8:30 in the morning, You are gifted information by the market, and it's your job as a trader to try to use it to your advantage. So don't chase the initial move. Look for key price levels, tops and bottoms, that then hold up multiple times in the opening range. Look for relative strength like we saw with Microsoft on this particular release. Look for breakout setups, double, triple tops or bottoms off those key price levels. And then that's where you're going to find your alpha. So in trading, everything is about information gathering and utilizing it to your advantage. No different here when you get an economic release, whether it's CPI, whether it's a jobs number. Be sure to be patient and take what the market is going to give you, because the market's giving you opportunities every single day. That's your lesson of the day. Trade economic data and economic releases with better success by being patient and following those steps.
Hi.
Thank you very much, Neil. Eloquent and informative as always, Neil.
Not the one.
The real deal with Neil, let's be real about it. Dropping hotlines midday there. We're going to have our social media team join us in a minute. Pedro is on today. We'll be chatting with him about what is hot in finance, social media world, convoluted finance talk, I don't know. All that kind of stuff. He'll be on shortly. But before he comes on, let me share with you my meta trade. So we were yapping before Neil started dropping hot lines about this VWAP hold and this double top from the pre. This was a key area of support for me on the intraday look. We have the IB high as well as the institutional print at 8 a.m., all at that 495. You also had the volume weighted average price right there. So to me, that was screaming support. We put our money where our mouth was. We did take that 495.5 long. We waited to get it on the back end. We didn't quite get 495, and then we took another dollar over a dollar on it. We got 496.63 on it. So that's the second trade on Meta, both profitable. The first one short off that 502 touch for a dollar and a bit, and then the second one long for another dollar and a bit. But now look, it's coming right back down. Here we go. 496 incoming on META, and we're about to see 495 if we continue down here. So META, Meta, definitely interesting name on the day. Uber strength to begin the day, and now it looks like we're fading a little more aggressively than we are in some of these other names. So I'm gonna bring in Adair in a second, but I also want to point out, because she'll take you through this trade a lot better than I will. Apple was doing the wick shimmy dance. If I've ever seen a wick shimmy dance, this is it right here, where it kept wicking into yesterday's closing print at 172 3/4, and it kept rejecting off. And it was a bit of a range in between VWAP and that closing print. But that's since come and gone, Adara, as we broke through 173. What's your look on that?
Yeah, I thank you for letting me take the reins there and chat about that Apple trade. That's what we were, when it was cutting to us excitedly talking after Neil's awesome real deal. And thank you so much to Neil for that. It was because Sharif was like, oh, did you see Apple broke above 173? And I was like, yes, I did. I ran for the hills, but like right when we broke that 172.90. That was part of why I chose 172.90. As Sharif put it, the wick shimmy dance we did indeed do with Apple a couple times, which is why I got involved. It's a little bit harder just because of the way this chart is here with the wicks. I got it in the back end, so I should have probably waited. I could have gotten a better price. Then I watched us fail that 172.90 with a viciousness. I was like, stayed in the short, should have added there, didn't. Stayed in the short though. We waited, we were patient. I have patience I normally do not possess, but we were able to get some of this out here at 172.39, I think, so about 15 penny winner, not huge. Then I decided, we held that range, I added in once more when we got to 172.70s, and then we broke above, I had to get out. I'm really proud that I was able to exit this trade. I'm happy I took some profit. It wasn't a perfect trade, but I'm happy with how it went. I do still have my sights set on Meta, as you were talking about that. I like that giant red candle to the downside. I wasn't able to get filled. That's okay. New dawn, new day, and I'm feeling good. Shout out to Miss Nina Simone and also Michael Bublé for the cover. But yeah, now I'm involved back in this Microsoft range. Best print we did not get. We got in a little bit kind of a mid print, but we're hopefully getting filled here around that 413.02s. If we get that, I would be pleased as punch and tickled pink. Then I have a piece of the dream here waiting at this earlier area. Because look at the bottom of this range. This Microsoft range is like yelling, and I haven't been hearing it for whatever reason. How dare I? But now I will treat this range with respect. Bottom of the range here around 412.70, I think is a pretty nice look. So I like that look. Also, yeah, Neil Roberts, Neil, I don't know, I said Neil Roberts. Neil here in the chat also celebrating that Nina Simone reference there. But yeah, we're going to have to see how this goes here with Microsoft. Hopefully we can save this USB drive here in this computer with a W.
I like
how are you still looking at Meta? Because Meta's been an interesting one.
But people are talking about Rumble. So let's chat a little bit about Rumble here, Derek, because it's up 12 3/4. I mean, we need to put some more respect on this stock's name. I mean, like, let's be real about this, okay? This is one of the only issues, I'm talking about TikTok right now, that the Democrats and the Republicans actually agree on, all right? It was a 50-0 vote at the committee level to ban TikTok. Biden is advertising his campaign on TikTok, but he said openly, divesting TikTok. Sorry, Katina, man. Biden is, he's advertising his campaign on TikTok, but he's made it clear that if a bill finds its way to his desk, he will sign it. He will ban it. So, well, you know what I mean, okay? Forced divestiture. Now, Rumble's come out there and said, well, we may be interested in picking up the leftovers if the forced sale has to go through. So this could be an ARB. I'm not saying to get into this, okay? This is not financial advice. I want to make that very clear. But this could be an absolute arbitrage opportunity right now, getting this thing at $7.50. Who knows what it flies into if they actually acquire TikTok. Now, one thing that I have to make very clear is they're not going to do it on their own. They're talking about joining a consortium. So amalgamating the money, going in with some other people, some other companies or institutional investors, who knows, we don't have the details yet, to buy this bad boy. That would be super interesting to me. Let's just see how this goes, okay? I'm sure they are not the only interested party. Let's be real. TikTok is massive in the United States, 170 million users. The creators are up in arms. Senators are getting calls from teenagers, this, that, and the other.
Actually?
Yeah. Yes. Did you know that TikTok sent push notifications to their users in the States, telling them to call their local elected representative and give them an earful? And they have, like, all these high school kids and middle school kids are calling their elected representatives.
Nuts.
Like, oh, my TikTok. What am I going to do? Oh, my TikTok.
I like that voice. That's how they sound.
I'm talking about Rumble, Joel. I'm talking about Rumble, RUM. It's on the chart over here, Ram, if we're able to show it. RUM, Rumble, it's a Canadian company, baby. But no restrictions on Canadian companies owning the American affiliate of TikTok. Anyway, this could be an interesting ARB, or it could be a nothing burger. But something for you to think about, something for you to digest and to put into your analysis bag. All right, Adara, as we were talking, 495 came and went on META. It has now broken below the IB high. It's broken below the volume weighted average price, and it's broken below 495. Where do we see support on META? It's giving up the ghost, well over 3%. Now we're about to break below 2% here if we continue to head down. Is this a short, or are we going to see some support coming in on Meta? Let me know your thoughts in the chat. Shout out to you, Joel. No problem there. Yeah, that's interesting comment. House to Homes Plus. That's interesting there. I like what you have to say. Yeah. The Katina Man letting everyone know exactly how he thinks there. It's not a ban, Katina Man says. Everyone calling the government is irresponsible. Shout out to the Katina Man letting us know exactly what he thinks. That figure, a panel of superior minds to control a narrative. Yeah, I see what you're saying there. Definitely. Bigger hands are coming into play here. I see what you're saying with that. I'm looking at some of these charts over here. I'm not seeing anything that I really like. What are you guys looking at right now? What are you looking at? Oh, I see a triangle.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's a triangle moving in the right direction, which is a nice change for me today. No, in all seriousness, I'm trying to keep it light, like I've been saying. And I also appreciate you talking as well about when you're talking about that awesome Tesla trade you had earlier. Sometimes you just have to take these little reps for wins because you want to get confidence back, right?
Yeah.
And I think I really appreciate you saying that, because I think that's something that I've been pretty open about here as well, as a very new trader who's been experiencing a little bit of a slump. As much as maybe a new person can slump, I guess you're always kind of constantly in a state of of learning and evolving, but that's not the point. The point is we took some profit on this Microsoft short, and I am tickled pink. I'm very happy with this. Saving a piece for the dream, and that dream is about to come true if we get to 412.88. I feel like a stocktioneer, as someone once called us in the chat, so we're gonna have to wait and see what we do here. But if this range keeps ranging, I don't want to say range again, but we will keep playing this range. I think, someone was mentioning, I think it was Glenn, someone named Glenn in the chat once, home on the range. Yeah, I mean, I feel it most at home when I'm range trading, and Microsoft heard that and understood. Also, how we were just talking about Apple breaking above that 173? Apple is back to that range. Apple. What are you doing, bro? If Apple keeps ranging like this, but with lower highs and higher lows, I can take the range long. I have no problem with that. Let's make it very clear, Apple. You tried to scare me out, and you did, but you're not going to scare me away. You're still on my side chart, and I still have eyes on you, Mr. Tim Cook and company.
Oh, that.
So we're going to have to see. Hopefully we can do, an okay Steve Jobs on this trade. Happy with how we did earlier. Let's see if this one can keep coming. But mainly my focus is on Microsoft. Tesla curling up here as well in a way that I kind of like this 9 EMA bounce, although we did fall a little bit below here. But there's certainly areas of support and resistance is what I'm trying to say that Tesla has been dancing with in a way that I find cool.
Bitcoin, the Katina man letting me breaking the lows as we speak, about to touch 70,300. The low is 70,313. We could easily see 70,000 within a couple of minutes given how this moves. So BTC now on the way down. If you are holding any BTC related product, be made aware. It looks like we're possibly going to hold that $10,000 or dip into that $10,000 level. We'll wait and see if we actually make it down there. 70,313 right now on Bitcoin at the lows. So shout out to the Katina man for pointing that out to me. We'll keep an eye on some Bitcoin adjacent names. Here comes Coinbase into the volume weighted average price and into yesterday's close. Let's look at Coinbase because this could really get moving here on COIN. Which one are we going to take off? We're going to take off CLRO, COIN. Let's go. Okay, so this is what I was talking about. Look, Coinbase has kind of been, I don't want to say a dead trade today, but it's been rejecting, for whatever reason, off that 200 period moving average on the 5. Every single rejection, there were 4. 1, 2, 3, and then again over here, 4 rejections off that 200 period. And now we're breaking down below yesterday's close. The close on Coinbase yesterday was 254 1/3. We're now 253. We just dipped into 252 1/3. That was the low of this 5-minute candle here, but we're below the volume weighted average price. The thing is, we have higher lows with kind of a flat top at 259 or thereabouts. And here's what I mean by that. So the low, 248. Obviously, that's the closing print. The low is way lower than that, 242. I'm not talking about the wick. And then we have another low here at 252.05. And then we're holding again generally at that 252 area. So it's been kind of higher lows with a bit of a flat top over here. I don't know if how you guys feel about that. Now, this trade should present you with a range trade until a break below the uptrend line or a break above that 259 level. Break and hold is what I'm saying. Right now, it is finding a little bit of support right now at these levels. Let's see what Bitcoin is doing. Bitcoin didn't quite make it down into 70,000. Oh, wow, it did. It went down to $70,047, Katina man. So literally just, $47 away from that $70,000 price. So if this one gets going here and we have a bottoming tail candle, let's keep our eyes on some of the crypto adjacent equities because we could get a nice pop on them. For now, though, we are holding that $70,000 level on BTC Adair.
Yeah, Coin's a cool look. I know you're trading that one yesterday, I believe, as well, because I think, Coinbase is a fun one. Like I said, I'm always a little bit hesitant to get involved with these crypto-adjacent names because of their relationship to Mother Bitcoin, Mademoiselle Bitcoin, what have you. Shout out to Obi and the Mother Market phrase. But no, in all seriousness, I've traded them before if the opportunities present. And the second you say range, I start thinking. And there is a range here, and I like the range. And literally, as we're talking, it pops back up at the bottom of that range. Ooh, this actually might be a trade for me here. So I'm going to keep an eye on that. Thank you for bringing that one up, because this Coinbase range is certainly interesting, right? We're basically flat on the day too, so it's not like I feel like I'm going counter trend, because either way, we're more or less flat. So I think Coinbase could be interesting. I'm going to have to keep my eye on that, and this might actually get a spot in my side chart, replacing Apple, which has once again become the dead one. Let's look at, Microsoft's doing nothing. I have nothing to add on that, but NVIDIA curling down. So we're going to have to see I try. Yeah, I try. You and Sean say the down in like a wonderful way that I can't master. But I think this Nvidia move down is kind of a nice look. Honestly, if I was really scalpy about this, like all eyes on this stock, I think this could be fun. Taking a couple dollars. I don't know if I have the stomach for Nvidia, but one thing that Sean always says that I always echo: a scared trader is a deficient trader. 100%. And I'm trying to be less scared in my trades. And with that in mind, if Nvidia, I like this 905 rejection. Let's see how we hold 905 here, because I think this could be a bit of a scalp short opportunity. That being said, it is Nvidia. It's up 5.5% of the day. With Nvidia, there's always risk. Every reason that you have to take a trade in Nvidia, there's always about 40 reasons to not. But there are opportunities here for profitability as long as you're smart and careful. So. We'll have to see. We'll have to see here. Also, the meta short continues to be interesting. Congrats to Sharif on that long earlier 2-off VWAP. That was a really nice look here. Also coming back in both with VWAP and that earlier area. But now meta seems to be in a bit of a stutter step to the downside that I might want to join it in. I might take a walk on the wild side here with META. Right now, though, mostly just focusing on that Microsoft trade. We also had Slurpee in the chat. I love that name as a Winnipegger from the South capital of Canada, saying that Tesla looks like it could be curling up. I don't disagree here. I just think we're struggling a little bit with that 178 area. We have made generally, though, higher highs and higher lows, especially given how we kind of did break above that earlier resistance of 178.50 that Sharif had that awesome short earlier. So I think Tesla trying to reclaim here, but for me, I can't really tell what longer direction Tesla wants to go on the day. Yeah. I think scalping movement could work here. Eddie, I like this. This is an interesting comment. It's true that some stocks can scare and others not. That's a good point. Yeah, some 100%. Stocks are more quote unquote scarier than others, right? Like some stocks you're like Apple, even when Apple's a little bit volatile, you can usually finagle your way out of an Apple trade. Yeah. Nvidia one time, and I said this last week, it would not let me leave. I had to piece up my order into tiny pieces, and it was not a big order. So I think, you know what, Nvidia is a scarier trade as well. And that reminds me, Mahmood here asking, the comment just came in, I guess that's not really reminds me, but Mahmood saying, where would you short Nvidia? A break of 902? I would be scalp shorting it basically just along what we're seeing here in the 9 EMA. So if we keep failing that 905, I'd probably take 905 into 905.50s. It would be a really small trade, I'm going to be really honest, but that would be the look there. But thank you for asking, because I realized I wasn't super clear about my take on that. So much appreciated. Right now, though, we got to add to that Microsoft position as it continues to bleed a little bit to the downside. Thank you. I'm really happy with this range, and I'm happy after a couple fumbles that I'm able to play it in a way that makes a bit more sense. How are you doing?
Doing decent. Nothing right now. I'm keeping my eye on Bitcoin, seeing if it can pop off and hold 70,000, break above 71 or thereabouts. I'm keeping my eye on Coinbase, obviously, but this is awfully spready, man. I mean, it's a 30-penny spread. It's opened up to as wide as 60 pennies. I can't manage risk efficiently on that unless it really goes in the direction that I wanted to right from the get-go. Because if this opens up and goes against me, I have to factor in how much lower it is below the price and how much the spread is, because that's how much it's going to cost me to get out. So I'm keeping eyes on coin. I like the fact that it's holding up at this trend line. Let me just show you what I'm looking on in my chart. This is the trend line I've kind of drawn a little bit here, and it's holding up in that general area. It probably has a lot to do with whether it holds or not is going to have a lot to do with whether Bitcoin holds 70,000 as well. So it's a bit of a risky trade. I don't want to get in here just owing to the spread at the moment and the it's just we don't know if we're going to hold 70,000. So unless we get away from it and start clearing it up with a little bit more vigor, I'm going to steer clear of this name. Betty Boop, can you please look at Goog? Do you want me to look at Goog or Google? Because we don't typically look at Goog. Google has done 13.25 million shares. Goog's done 8 1/3. So I'll look at Google, okay? Just because it's done a bit more liquidity, and that's the one that we typically trade. We look at Google. It's a sideways move after this V-shaped recovery. That was the big boy dip that we got right there at 8:45, thereabouts. I mean, we got the CPI print 8:30. It's a bit of a delayed reaction to that. We dip into that 136 or thereabouts. hold that level, pop right back into 139, and then it becomes Adara's favorite trade, baby, that sideways range. But to be fair, Adara, we have been breaking through VWAP here, so it hasn't really been the moving averages or the volume-weighted average price that's acted as support and resistance. It's been more price action, and you can really see that with these wicks over here that are all basing out at or around the same area. It's generally that 138 low that it's holding, and it hasn't broken below 138 since we reclaimed 138 early in the day at around 9:45 or so. So a bit of a top, 139, a bit of a low, 138. So we have a bit of a dollar range now. It hasn't made its way to the highs and the lows all that quickly. It's hung out more in the middle than at the highs or lows. So to me, it's not tradable on now. I don't want to say not tradable on the day. It's not tradable now as a momentum trade, but the range traders will be salivating at this, baby, because it's giving you a dollar range, predictable highs, predictable lows. Let's see what we get. We're getting a lot of predictable highs and predictable lows. Look at this. Consolidation Apple, consolidation Google, consolidation Microsoft, even NVIDIA. I mean, by its standards, a bit of a consolidation move after that 912 touch, and now we're kind of ranging a little bit here at the 905, 903, and dollars at a time is what kind of NVIDIA does. So we'll keep watching. Meta is really the only one that's given us, not the only one, but one of the main ones that's given us direction. We initially, Big Kyle Burdett was printing big off that short, so he joined me on that one. It looks like he printed a lot more than I did, though. Shout out to him. Now, look what we're doing. So initially, we were using the volume-weighted average price as support. Well, what happens when support gives way? It typically flips to resistance. So shout out to my technical analysis heads out there. Now we're kind of rejecting off that volume-weighted average price from the top side. So let's see if we're able to reclaim that, or could we possibly make it right back down? Like the closing print yesterday on Meta is far south of where we are, 483.5, thereabouts. That's the closing print on Meta. So we really need to lose about 10 bucks, 11 bucks from where we're trading right now to go red on META. So I don't know. I don't see that in the cards today unless the future starts dumping. So let's keep an eye on Meta. Let's flip to some of these small cap gappers, see what's popping off. Anything going? SOUN continues to go, baby. 679 HOD. We got out at 69s. This one is still going. It's gone about another 10 pennies, excuse me, since where we got out. It's holding either the 10 or the 20. Take your pick. It's either the aggressive dips are bouncing off the 20. The not so aggressive dips are bouncing off the 10. The 20 is the solid yellow line on my chart. The 10 is the solid green line. So SOUN, the gift that keeps on giving in small cap world today, up 12.5% vis-a-vis that NVIDIA investment that they had in it. Shout out. I keep forgetting who showed me this in the chat earlier. Whatever, you know who you are. Shout you out. Anyway, what are you looking at?
Yeah, I mean, that NVIDIA, that worked better in my head. But yeah, nice move. They're putting some cash there. Also, another NVIDIA investment name I want to talk about is RXRX. Shout out to Joel Freston mentioning this one to me earlier. I forgot to look at it, and I apologize for that. But yeah, this RXRX this is interesting. We have a bit of a double top here at 1066. This is Recursion. Recursion. That's the name of this one. Let me get all the details here. Recursion Pharmaceuticals. Yeah, there was an NVIDIA investment here. Let me pull this up. Oh yeah, okay. So the actual investment into Recursion was 7.70 million share stake. So nice look here. Yeah, this is interesting. I think we're definitely making lower highs here. It looks like. And even this lower low, not lower highs, but lower lows for sure. And then we did kind of make this lower high here at 1036. So definitely petering down 2.1 million shares. So not too shabby here for RXRX. The daily is a nice look though, with the exception of the slightly lower low. We've generally had some nice support around 950s. Then we made a higher high. We're coming back into that 950-10 area. So interesting look here for RXRX. We also have Mahmood saying the NVIDIA short apparently did come in. Oh, yes, it did. I should have been keeping an eye on that, but I was babysitting my pal Microsoft, so I didn't get to take a look at that. Let's look at NVDA. Yeah, ooh, this is a nice move to the downside here. We moved out of the range. I should have been more active on this when we had that move at 905. That's very much my bad. But if we kind of form some more levels here, I'm not going to say no. However, I am going to punch out of Microsoft because this Microsoft area, we had the short. The short came in. I was really pleased as punch about this. But now I'm ready to leave. I'm happy with this. We had that move down that I wanted. I was really kind of waiting and refilling it as we got to the top and bottom end of these ranges. looks like we're kind of moving out of the range now, making a solid flush to the downside. So time for me to say au revoir here on this Microsoft, but I think this is a pretty nice look here. Ooh, Sean involved in AMD. Here we go. Pardon? Oh, Roblox. Okay, let's look at Roblox. Also, I'm just going to change my exit on this because I just want to leave this trade as we recover a skosh. But yeah, we're going to look at Roblox there. Congrats to Sean for that. I always forget that this name is an NY name, but it is. Let's look at Roblox. Ooh, okay. Did you get in thereabouts? Let's do 4107. Little lower. Okay. I don't. I have the 9. Did you get in around? Was, oh, I was gonna say 40 because that's where the 9 EMA kind of came down to. So I lost a little bit there. We're not perfect. We're learning. But I love playing the game. Thank you, Sean. I didn't mean. Sean said he wishes he had 4108. So I wasn't. But nice look there on Sean. Nice look there for Sean. Congrats on that Roblox trade. We're out of Microsoft. We did dip a little bit lower there, but no complaints. I am pleased as punch. I'm also pretty happy because that was initially my worst name on the day. And right now we're still not green on it, but we're doing what I like to call an avenge trade, trying to take some bad movements and turn them into good with solid technicals. So let's see if this keeps coming. Happy here.
So we completely forgot that Europe hasn't changed the clock yet. And so Pedro still thinks it's an hour. So he's early still. So Pedro will be joining us around 1 o'clock or so, 1:15. We'll get him in there. So let's do the lesson. We're talking about trading strategies for volatile markets. We're talking about volatility all week. Let's talk about some of these trading strategies. So obviously volatile markets offer good potential for profits, but they do require adjusted trading strategies as compared to some calmer periods. We're going to talk about 4 different approaches to consider in the trading strategies during volatile markets. The first one is a breakout strategy. So during volatile periods, prices can break through resistance or support levels a lot more easily. This can be a good time for breakout trades. So you can do things like identify key areas of support and resistance, like I did with that VWAP area on Meta, like I did with that area on Tesla. Identify either intraday or on the daily chart or on whatever time frame off which you're going to trade. Just make sure it's consistent. So you're identifying key areas of support and resistance, and you're looking for areas where the price has bounced off or rejected recently, so you can know exactly what price the markets have been looking at. You can also wait for a confirmed breakout. So a strong price move beyond a key level with increased volume, underline that, with increased volume suggests a potential trend continuation. The volume aspect of it shows you that there is mass participation in the name, and that's what you're looking for there. You want to see a lot of the bigger money flood in with you. They typically help backstop any big downturn. So you're waiting for a confirmed breakout. These are one of the breakout strategies. And then obviously it goes without saying, you're going to set up your stop loss orders. So volatility can be absolutely unpredictable. If you haven't seen that, just go back and look at the NVIDIA chart. So make sure you're placing your stop orders just below support for your long trades and just above resistance for your short trades in order to limit some potential losses there. So those are the 3 breakout strategies that we're going to talk about today and get to know them a little bit more by doing your research, right? Scalping strategies, also very important as well. So scalping involves taking advantage of small, frequent price movements. It can be a good fit for volatile markets because it focuses on the short term, right? So you aim to capture small profits quickly and exit the trade before the market reverses. You see the Katina man punch an umpteen amount of shares and, getting that quick dollar winner because he's trading names that move $1 at a time. And so that's his modus operandi. He likes to go in big shares, take that scalp, get out of dodge, rinse and repeat. All right? So focus on the short term. And it also helps reduce your exposure. So because you're in the trade for less time, your exposure is a little bit reduced. You're in and out faster. You're limiting your risk to volatile swings. So that's what scalping helps achieve, as well as the use of technical indicators. So use tools like the moving average, moving averages, as well as RSI, or relative strength index, to help identify your entry and exit points. Again, RSI used for different reasons at different times by different people. There is, the use of RSI with price action divergence. There's using RSI for being in the oversold or overbought territory. Make sure you're using it specifically for the trade that you're taking, okay? It's not all the same there. And then your fading strategies. A little bit more risky during volatile markets, right? Because almost like a mean reversion trade. So this strategy involves betting against the prevailing momentum. It can be risky, but during volatile markets, sharp price moves are often followed by corrections, mean reversion. Here's how. So you can identify the overbought and oversold conditions. We were just finished talking about RSI. So if you want to use a mean reversion strategy, you can wait perhaps for that RSI to dip in to oversold territory if you want to go long, or overbought territory if you want to go short. Again, that's not the way I use it, but that is one of the accepted methods. And you can also enter the opposite trades. If the market is rallying excessively, consider a short position. Conversely, for a steep decline, a long position might be in the cards. And then look at for something that's fading, you can take it long. So mean reversion strategies, inherently more risky, but absolutely have a place within volatility, because that's typically what happens. But you also have to manage strict risk management. Because of the inherent riskiness of a mean reversion strategy, you need to make sure that your risk management parameters are sound and they're always in place. So make sure that you're using a tight stop in those situations. Personally, I would rather use a tight stop. I'm just talking about personally here. Use a tight stop, get punched out, get back in if it starts to go my way, rather than DCA into it and then have it go. Because sometimes you could get absolutely rinsed if you DCA too much. And that's what happened to me the last couple of days. So I think I'm just going to really say that again, Katina Man. AMD broke, baby. It is down below 200 again. The Katina Man short. NVIDIA broke big as well. Holy cow, what's going on here? NVIDIA is absolutely tanking below 900, down to that 897 or thereabouts. So VWAP and NVIDIA, though, keep your eye on that, around that 82 area. Shout out to you, Adair, for taking that short.
Thank you.
So, last but not least, the option strategies. Thank you, Adair, for adding that in. There are several option strategies that allow traders to capitalize on volatility. These include things like the bull call and bear put spreads. So a bull call spread involves purchasing a long call with a lower strike price and simultaneously shorting a call with a higher strike and then the same expiration. The maximum gain, essentially, in this transaction is the difference between the long and the short call, with the trade increasing in value as the stock price rises. So a bear put spread is the exact opposite of that, right? With trades increasing in value as the stock price declines. So that is the bull call spread. Make sure to apprise yourself of it before ever using it. And the straddle and strangles. Adair and I talked about this on a previous version of, or episode of How to Trade. The straddles, technique involves purchasing a call and a put at the same strike price and expiration, producing a profit if the stock makes a big move in either direction. Strangles, however, involve purchasing a slightly out-of-the-money calls and puts with the same expiration, producing a profit if an influx of volatility results in a big move in either direction. So these strategies are discussed at length in our options week on How to Trade. So make sure to check that one out. Straddles and strangles, bull call spreads. There we go. Shout out to you. Thank you for adding that. Yeah, so that is the look on the lesson today there at Dara. As we were dropping the lesson, Coinbase, which is the last one that I had on my chart there, popped up into 2350. What is Coinbase? What is Bitcoin doing? So Bitcoin is still holding 70,000. So the low day that we talked about earlier, 70,047, still holding up, and Bitcoin trying to make its way back above 70,700. We'll see if it can take 71,000. We do have an interesting area of possible resistance here on BTC in and around 71,000. I just want to show this quick before we send it back to Adair to tell us about our great trade.
Thank you.
Look at this area over here. So there's this bottoming tail candle here that came in at 11 o'clock. It took us all the way down to 70,871. So I'm keeping my eye on that candle because we haven't broken above it since this big dip into 70,000. So we'll watch to see if this 11 a.m. 5-minute candle here and the low of that 5-minute candle acts as a level of resistance on our way up on BTC. We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, we'll have to wait in BTC on that. Yeah, also, I like that Coinbase is still holding that range.
Right?
I mean, what am I doing? I need to give her a look.
There you go.
I actually started typing coin into my side chart, and then you were like, oh, the spread on it's 30 cents, and I was like, I don't really want that. But the look is so good, I might have to reconsider. Also, I have to talk about this. I don't have to talk about it, but I'd like to talk about this NVIDIA trade, if I may. So I didn't trade it off the 1 minute, but I put up the 1 minute here because I didn't realize how fast this trade was. This was in and over in a candle, but I was very, very careful before I punched in. So I traded this one off the 5 minute, but this wasn't a chart move, this was a price action move. I was initially interested around 901, but I didn't let the 901 happen. I was watching it, I wasn't confident enough, so I stopped. Then, I had it literally typed in. I was like, let's just do another 900 fail. I watched this fail 900 a couple times, and I'm like, I'm literally watching this 899 so intensely. I'm like, my eyes are bleeding. You know when you look at something so long, it doesn't even make sense to you anymore? That's how long I was looking at 899, and I was hearing Sean in my head being like, a scared trader is a deficient trader. I know he was talking to you and Patrick as well last week about taking risks, and I was like, Adara, you're in the sim. What do you have to lose? You like this trade. You've watched it. Just punch in. So I punched in, and I was initially going to be happy with 898, but before I could even get out, or before you could even start punching that out, we go down to 897. I said, let's do it. So I punched out here. I have to say I'm pretty proud.
Nice.
Mostly just because I stayed calm, because I wasn't even going to enter this trade. Thank you. Yeah, I just wanted to talk through that because that was one of probably, in some ways, not the scariest trade I've ever done, because I had enough confluence for it based on what I was seeing in the book that I felt comfortable with it, because I was careful, because I waited. Thank you, Sean, for the bang button there. But yeah, I have to say I'm pretty happy with this trade, and I appreciate that I had the opportunity to talk through it. Thank you.
Yeah.
Also, I just want to echo what you said about volatility with regards to DCA sometimes versus going all the way through. And I think one thing I have noticed too is that if you're confident in a trade and you want to take the quick move and take advantage of volatility, sometimes it's better to just punch them in all at once. Like sometimes adding those DCAs can be helpful, but I see with regards to what you were saying on volatility, sometimes you just have to, hit the whole button and trade it in. I just thought that was interesting, and I wanted to touch on that. But yeah, Coinbase is looking really spicy.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm going to look at right now it's trying, but we'll keep an eye on Bitcoin, because it's really about what Bitcoin does here that's going to get me into this trade on coin. But I want to keep my eyes on Rumble, man, because this is a missed trade for me. I just finished singing the praise of Rumble, arbitrage this, arbitrage that. Bro, come on. A dip into VWAP, it holds beautifully at VWAP. I mean, like, if you're going to get in, say, 737, how much are you going to risk? Are you going to really risk 5 pennies? No, I would have risked a little bit more, maybe 10. So you wouldn't have got stopped out there, even though there was no exact hold of the volume-weighted average price. And look what it's given you, man. It's given you that 30-cent pop, super quick like that on RUM. Looking to go back near the highs. We obviously have a top here for whatever reason in that 775 or thereabouts. Technically, the high of day is 778, but look where the closing prints are. They're all at 774 or 775. So that's the level I like better. We're on our way up, man. We just broke through 7 2/3. We're on our way back to 7 3/4 here for RUM. 14.25% to the good right now. What a hold here on VWAP. I missed this trade. I should have had an alert out to notify me if it retraced into VWAP. We're going to see if we can get into another trade here on Rumble, because, it's not moving crazy. But I think that this one might have a couple of good days left in it. I mean, we don't know. This TikTok tailwind we've been talking about. I mean, I talked about ad nauseum last year when I was holding my meta trade about the TikTok tailwind. And the TikTok tailwind is the real deal. It helped Meta through large parts of 2023. It could help Rumble. We don't know. We don't know. And I think it helped Meta again in 2024, given how Meta's traded. So Rumble definitely on my watch list going on. SOUN still tradable. for small cap gappers, especially if you're looking for some of these dip trades here near the 20 period. I mean, it hasn't printed a new high. 679 is still the high, but we're still putting in higher lows and higher highs, right? So it's uninterrupted. We haven't made any lower lows. We haven't made any lower highs. It has been an upward channel consistent. It's just about where you look to get in on a pullback. That's the trick here. And I would suggest to you that the evidence points to the 20 period here for the most part. The bigger retracements are bouncing off the 20. The normal intra candle retracement, if we can call it that, is bouncing off the 10. So we'll continue to watch and see what it does. SELX though, again, this one suspect in terms of volume, but the price action is serious. I mean, it's really holding well above VWAP. Hit it, Katina, man.
Awesome.
What do you got? AMD is having a day, says the Katina. Let me scroll up and see what AMD is doing. So it is now down again. Wow, what a red candle there off the 200 rejection, Katina, man. I'm looking at AMD. Let's pull it up over here real quick. Flip back to SLK. This is what the Katina man is talking about, baby. Look at that 201.25 top, and then Huadunk went the dynamite and right back down to the volume weighted average price we go. And below that is not too far. Below the volume weighted average price is the closing print from yesterday at 198 and a half and a third, in and around that area. Doesn't make too much of a difference for AMD. So another possible area of support if VWAP gives up the ghost here on AMD. Let's flip back to SELK because I definitely want to keep eyes on this small cap capper. SELK, not SELF, bro. SELK. There we go. SLEK? SELX. Thanks, Ram. Thanks. I'm thinking about the Mercedes SLK for whatever reason. Even though it's been discontinued for like 20 years, Adara, so old am I that I can't get it.
If the car's nice, it doesn't matter if it's discontinued. Look
point.
at the Chevy HHR.
You mentioned that the other day.
I love that car, yeah.
Because your old man got it, right?
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
All right, what do you got over there?
I have the IWM. Sorry, I was a little bit caught off guard because, yeah, I wish I had something here in this IWM. Like I said, trying to look less at chart levels. To look less at chart levels and more at price action on these ETFs. But yeah, I think there's certainly something brewing at 204.20. I'll even short this like 20 pennies if we keep rejecting this. But yeah, I mean, in terms of like it's showing up on the chart, but I'm also just noticing what we're doing in the price here. We're getting to 204.20. We can't eclipse 204.20, so I'm all ears, or I guess all eyes and all fingers because you're trading and you can't trade with your ears. But the point remains, the analogy got a little bit lost in the sauce there. Shout out to Obi. Also, Scarjo Rabbit saying 10-year note. Thank you so much for bringing that one to our attention. We do have the 10-year note. I know that one is also on the More Trading TV Live, not the note results itself, but that we have a note auction coming out. So we'll be keeping an eye on this. Eclectic Passion saying that they drag raced an HHRSS. You probably won because it's not really a card known for its speed, but that's very cool. That's very neat. I didn't know people race that.
Oh,
but yeah,
the SS? Yeah, they have an SS version of everything.
Oh, that's true. That makes sense. Yeah, the SS. Okay, that makes sense. But yeah, that's a very neat move. Also, JG asking, what do you mean when you say you're trading in pennies? So it's basically if you're kind of trading smaller movements. You're talking about with Rumble. Rumble's going to have less moves than NVIDIA. NVIDIA are usually talking dollars, right? Because that stock will move with a swiftness in a very short period of time. Rumble, though, moves in, oh, hi, Randy. Oh, my gosh, there's multiple Randys. Hi, Randy's plural on the...
Where's he? Was he on the screen? Oh, there he is.
Hi, Randy.
I like it.
Hi, Randy's.
I like that.
Yeah, I like that we talk about cars and then Randy appears. It's magical. I love it. I think it's so funny how that works. Because we were literally just chatting about HHRs. But yeah, so Rumble, I mean, the chart movement here is interesting too, but I think, you know, when Strafe means trading in pennies, he means because that move from VWAP up to here, that was about 35 pennies. Whereas if you're talking about NVIDIA on this 5-minute candle, we're talking about $8.99 to $8.96. It's about a $3 move. You know what I mean? So it's really just about the magnitude of the move.
Right.
But if you're taking shares, you can make the most out of pennies. So it's not about like the amount that you're making, it's just more about the amount that the stock's moving. I hope that makes sense. And thank you for asking, JG, because that was a question I remember always being really confused about when I started. Like I'd hear Obi talking about 30 pennies and I'd be like, what's happening with these pennies? You know what I mean? So I totally get it.
Too in 2 minutes.
Oh yeah, we do have the 10-year note. Yeah, thank you to Scarjo Rabbit for mentioning this. KB, I love this comment. Randy is infinite. Yes, he is, and yes, he was there on that screen when we had 45 Randys hanging out. Oh, he likes being on the screen. There he is. Hi, Randy. Hello. Good times. Repeating Randy, says Syntho Popo. Yeah, people really enjoyed that. But let's look here. Let's look at AMD as well, because I know Sean was giving AMD a lot of love. Oh, wow. I have not looked at this AMD in quite some time. Yeah, these swoop to the downside here. This was a name I was trying to dance with a little bit yesterday, and it kept beating me up, so we had to leave the ring and let AMD defeat me there. But this is an AM defeat. But yeah, it's been quite an AM day for this name. Nice look here. Honestly, yeah, my only level is more downside. If we make a lower low here of that 197, that'd be interesting.
Can you show me what your standard deviation on your VWAP is? Go into your right click, and then customize it, and then go to indicators. What's your standard click VWAP? What's your standard deviation? Volume weighted average price. Oh, so you don't even have a standard deviation.
It might be because I'm on TMS.
Yeah, interesting. No, because my VWAP's all squiggly on this. I just want to see what you have there.
Yeah, no, I have. Mine does not show.
That's fine. Well, yeah, yours is good right there.
Oh,
see,
yeah,
yours
it's not squiggly.
Is that
yours
AMD?
is really
so
squiggly.
that's the 5?
Yeah, that's the 5 on AMD.
Okay, so look at mine. Still super squiggly on it. It's the black line, and yours is way more smooth. So I need to figure out what's going on with mine. Because the one on my side chart is not nearly as as squiggly. All right, guys, keeping an eye here on AMD. The Katina Man was $3 in the money, but it is now bouncing off 198, looking to go 199. Now, the VWAP is at 199, say 10, 13, thereabouts. Let's see if now if it rejects off VWAP, or does it reclaim it as quickly as it broke down below it? So decisions to be made here, things to keep an eye out on. AMD is, it's flat on the day, essentially just up 0.25%. So let's figure out what we got over here. All right, RGLS, nothing to do on that. Let's flip into Meta. Meta's becoming quite consolidative here through this 493 low and 495 high, so it's a bit of a sideways move. The funny thing about that is, though, now it's rejecting VWAP from the south side. So essentially, we were holding up VWAP initially, and that's what prompted me to get into this long trade. But then you see we give up the ghost there, and this former area of support now at 495 is now acting as resistance. So how funny how that works, eh? Resistance becomes support, support becomes resistance. We always say that, and we'll continue to say it because I think it's one of the main things in technical analysis. Anyway, so this 495 look, VWAP rejection look on Meta could present us with an interesting range trade if it holds. We'll wait to see what it does at the extremes. The extremes being essentially 493 to the low side and 495 to the high side. So Meta presenting us with more opportunities as well. Keeping an eye on some, let's see, these small cap gappers. Let's see what they're up to at the moment. Nothing really for me to talk about it. CLRO and RGLS are the number 2 names on my list. They're both in triple digit territory, but chart patterns are crap, so not tradable for me at this moment. So we'll continue to watch and see what else we got. Mr. Meme saying BA. All right, let's have a look at Boeing. The hot mess, aka ticker BA.
It's a bad apple today.
It's horrible, yeah. BA, bad apple, I like it. All right, so we've been having VWAP rejections or thereabouts. So it's been lower highs and not necessarily lower lows, though. 183.50 or thereabouts seems to be that general area that it held on to. It did actually technically make a lower low, not by that much. We held up initially 183.83, and then over here we held up at 183.40. So it's a short to pop kind of day for Boeing. It's just, where is the pop? I mean, here, when we popped up, we didn't hold any levels that I was aware of. We go through VWAP. We go through the 20 period. We go through the 10. We don't get to the 50. So why are we holding up at this level? What's up here? Well, the only whole dollar level is 186. We get well past that. So Boeing has done this to me in the past, where I've tried to trade Boeing off key levels, and then it just trades willy-nilly. So I'm going to stay away from Boeing at the moment unless I see something that I really like. But for right now, it's putting in that nice looking low, but the tops are at unidentifiable levels. I don't know why it bounced off there or rejected off there. I don't see anything specific. 10-year note, 4.166. Thank you very much for that. Let's look at the futures here to see what kind of reaction we got from the futures. And I'm not seeing anything as of yet, so nothing of note as of yet. We're still above VWAP. Usually it takes a few minutes for us to resolve in one direction or another. Let's see what we get.
Yeah, no, yeah, thank you for that one as well. Thank you, Scarjo Rabbit, too, saying U.S. 10-year note, high yield, actual 4.166%, previous 4.093%, so a little bit higher than the previous number. Thank you very much for that, Jimbo Slice and Scarjo Rabbit. Yeah, this is what a lot of questions here in the chat as well from GC and from David about how does this affect the market and how do you trade it. Honestly, what I've noticed is you just really have to be cognizant when that result comes out. Do you know what I mean? Because I've been in situations where usually when you're in a long, I find a lot of times there tends to be a sell-off, but that's not always the case because, you know, things are going to react differently. My eyes got really big when I said that, but it's because it's true, right? Like sometimes things you're in a long and then you get a little bit chopped up because we get those results. Sometimes it doesn't really move much at all. It really depends. But yeah, thank you very much to everybody putting that out there. Sorry, we don't get always the results right away, but thank you everyone in the chat for sharing those with us. Also, I have to say, I am happy with this trade, but I'm going to give the bond auction some credit for this because that sell-off did help me a little bit here. I did take that IWM short off of that 204.20 area. We started kind of sculpting and creating and curating this trade heading into that 204.20. We took some at 204.14. We took some at 204.16, I think. Then we got into 204.20. We held it. I liked it. I added some. And then the auction was like, yeah, okay, Adara, let's just go. So I was pleased as punch with that. I could have actually saved a little bit here, but because part of me knew this was partially a reaction play, I was like, I don't want to stay. So I got out exactly where I wanted to, around 204s at the bottom of this range. Although, like I said, I'm looking less at chart action and more on the book here. But in this case with IWM, you had a little bit of both. We had, you know, I was watching the book a couple times and I watched that failure of 204.20 a couple times before getting in. So as much as I do give the auction some credit for helping me exit this trade in a seamless way, I think part of it, I'm happy with my entry.
GC, great question. Please educate us on how these bond auctions affect the economy, who's bidding, who's buying, who attends these auctions, how do you even make money in a bond auction? So typically what is happening here is the way that the US government finances all their projects is several ways, obviously. There's taxation, you raise money through taxation, but there's also the issuing of debt. Right? So when they need to raise money, they issue these government bonds that are bought typically by foreign investors. Typically who was buying these US treasuries were the Chinese, were the Japanese, and more recently the Saudis and the Middle Easterners, okay? They started buying a lot of US debt. And so what happens here is that you're issuing a 10-year note and you're looking at how much demand there is for that 10-year note. And based upon the demand or lack thereof, a yield is generated. So the less the demand, the higher the yield. The higher the demand, the lower the yield. The way to make money off this, obviously, is typically inversely related to equity. So when the yields go up, if there's less demand for the auction and the yields go up, equities typically come down and vice versa. I hope that helps. Sorry to interrupt you.
No, it's okay. Yeah, no, thank you for saying that as well, because that was something that that came up when I was initially doing the online business courses, but I kind of forgot about the whole ecosystem of it. So thank you for going over that.
Knowing that too, because it took me years to figure that out.
Well, yeah, I mean, like, I did it because I was, you know, it was part of, you know, as I learned the business aspects of coming here. So yeah, I was really happy to have the opportunity to learn. But yeah, thank you very much for going over that. Yeah, I think, yeah, like I said, honestly, you didn't. I basically said what I wanted to say on this was basically sometimes you can have a point of entry, but then also the auction can kind of help you out, right? So I will say I didn't take this trade relying on the auction. I want to make that very clear. It did end up helping me exit the trade though, because it helped us get down a little bit lower, or not lower, but it helped us get down a little bit faster, I suppose. So yeah, that was what I wanted to say on that. Also, I know you mentioned that meta range trade. Yep. I was looking at that too. Because although I feel like you're very good at trading meta. I've noticed you're able to get in and out of that very quickly. Well, I feel like you and Meta are like, you guys are besties. Meta and I don't really speak the same language always. You know what I mean? I find I struggle with her a little bit. I have to say I lost in this trade, but I'm still happy with it because I got out exactly where I wanted to.
Good.
But this range is getting actually really interesting, as you said, right? Like look at that bottom of that 493, that top of 494.50 gives you like
general area,
yeah, $1.20, not about 120 pennies. Not a bad look here at all. I think the thing is with Meta though is the spread, and we've talked about this a lot. the spread on Meta, I don't know if it's gotten larger or if it's always been this large and I'm noticing it more, but Meta is spreadier than some of these other Mag 7 names. Like Apple, you can usually rely on to give you a 1-2 cent spread. Meta, you cannot rely on for that. So it's kind of interesting. Yeah, if you get like less than a 10-cent spread on Meta, you should be patting yourself on the back.
Oh yeah.
Because that name gets a little slippery. But yeah, I think the Meta, certainly if we hold this range, could be a bit interesting for me. I have my eye on it. NVIDIA, I have to say, my whole rule for this is I'm not getting back involved in this unless I see a trade that I feel good about to the degree that I felt good about this short. And by that I mean I've watched it test a couple times, I've watched the range come in a couple times, and I'm ready to punch in. And also with that, I was staring at this book so intensely that literally the number 899 was like ingrained in my retina. You know what I mean? I think if I'm not staring at, if I don't have my eyeballs on this, I don't really want to get involved, even though I do think the short's continuing. I just want to make sure I get a good point of entry. So I think we're going to stay out NVIDIA for a while, unless she gives me a reason to be back involved. Also, I want to look at Tesla. Solo Christo was asking about my thoughts on the Cybertruck earlier. I didn't really have many. I know Joanna Brewster was also saying Tesla looks like it's curling down. Now I'm tempted to say yes. Initially, we did have, I think it was Slurpee in the chat saying Tesla trying to curl back up. We did make that earlier high above that really impressive area of resistance. So support returning to resistance that Sharif had that awesome short off of earlier. But now look at the little pop. This is a little bit of a skosh of resistance, turning into support, turning into beautiful resistance. I do think we're falling off here. This might be a trade that I'd like to dip my baby toe into. Not too many shares, but I do think if we fall off that 177.50 area, I think this could be pretty tasty. Taking some profits around that pause here of 175.90, where we also had that VWAP. But for now, though, we have.
But before we bring in Pedro, guys, Bitcoin below 70,000. Be careful here. This is the first time I think it's actually stayed this this long below 70,000 since the initial dip came in. Let's see if we can reclaim it. Definitely trades to be had here, but we do. I just want to point that out real quick for all my Bitcoin people out there and people trading the equity adjacent names. We do have Pedro from our social media team. Pedro, my man, how are you?
Hey, how's it going? Good. How are you guys?
Good. How's everything over there on the other side? You guys still haven't changed the clock yet, I see.
Well, yes, we have not. But I'm actually in California right now, so I'm here visiting family. So it's crazy because I was ahead of you guys in time, and now I am behind you guys in time. So I'm like, it's 10 a.m. right now for me, and usually it's 6 p.m. when I meet you guys. So yeah, it's crazy.
I find it so hard to trade the markets. My sister lives in California, right? So when I go and visit, I want to get up. I want to trade these markets. You got to be up at 6:30 for the opening bell. But who gets up for the opening bell? You got to be up earlier than that. So it's just way too hard to trade these markets.
Yep. And it's funny because I heard you guys talking about Tesla and the Cybertruck, and in France, we don't even have room for that kind of car because the roads are so little. The minute we land here, and we got in and out as you should when you land in California, and the first thing in the parking lot is just this gigantic Cybertruck, and we were all like, "What is that? Like, that is insane!" It's a pretty cool looking car, but it's just next level crazy. I don't know what you guys think about it, but yeah.
I saw this video on online. This guy bought this huge GMC Denali, and he started driving it around the streets of London, and it was an absolute disaster. I mean, I can just only imagine driving the Cybertruck through the tight streets of Europe. I just don't see it happening.
No, it doesn't work. Yeah.
No, it doesn't. Pedro, we got some stuff we're going to talk about. What do we got in the hopper today, my man?
Yeah. So speaking of Elon, speaking of Tesla, speaking of all of that, I was doing a little bit of research, and just like how we were talking about how social media and can just like how trading and social media are intertwined in some way or another. And I just saw something about how big names kind of matter, and not necessarily even big names in like stock trading specifically, but just like big names, maybe like Elon Musk or people, I don't know, Bill Gates or people like that. And I saw that a lot of the times when Elon tweets about something or tweets about Tesla or tweets about some sort of like cryptocurrency, how the market completely changes and people are so drawn to either buying shares or selling them, or how all of that work. And I don't know if you guys have more even like practical examples of that happening, but it was just really interesting for me to see that just a tweet from that guy, like him being so influential can completely shift everything. So yeah.
Perfect example, Pedro, because I don't remember when you, do you remember when he called out Bob Iger? There was an incident there where advertising dollars stopped being spent on X, and so he didn't want to be blackmailed, as he called it, by the advertisers and to get him to go a certain way. So he called out Bob Iger. He said, "Hi, Bob," this, that, and the other. But when he did that, Pedro, do you know how many Disney Plus subscriptions got canceled after that?
No
people,
way.
people live and breathe on what this guy says and does. He's got a lot of fans.
That's insane. And I mean, on the other hand, I also saw that there's people that create fake accounts. So, I mean, at the same time that it's like, well, this is, you know, like on X, you get the verification little thing, and you can kind of know if the actual person is saying that or not. But then there's also on the flip side, so many fake accounts, and people create multiple fake accounts to dissipate like fake information about stuff and that would affect the market in one way or another. So I actually saw an example that somebody tweeted like this horrific like fake news that like there was a bomb in the White House or something like that, and then it completely like made everybody go crazy, and the market just went like really like unsafe, and everything was just different. And I was like, that's insane how just like one little piece of information that somebody can just blow it out there can change everything for the day or for the week or, you know, like for however long. So.
No, you're bang on, Pedro, because when he was trying to buy X, formerly Twitter, obviously, one of the things he kept pressing upon management, show me an accurate account of the real account. So many bots on there. And so he's like, you're artificially inflating your active users because there's just so much garbage out there. So your point is absolutely well taken. So many fake accounts, so hard to track and to manage these online social media accounts, Pedro.
Exactly. Well, yeah.
All right, Pedro, my man, thank you so much for being on. We shall see Jad on Friday, guys. So make sure to check out Jad and Pedro. One will be on every Tuesday and every Friday at noon.
That's right. Thank you. Bye, guys.
Awesome. So yeah, that's absolutely accurate what he has to say there, man. I mean, the amount of fake social media accounts, the bots, and the fact that a lot of people live and breathe on what Elon says. I mean, absolutely agree with him, yeah.
Yeah, no, I've always been really fascinated by that. I remember I was at the big desk when we first had that Disney sell-off, when everyone started canceling their subscriptions with High Bob Gate, I'll call it that, after that move where Disney, where Elon, I think he was calling it, it's interesting because he called it all advertisers, but he was really specifically interested in Disney, and that's why Disney felt the sell-off, the House of Mouse falling a little bit there, a bit of a crack in the foundation there. So it's certainly interesting, and that's something that I find really fascinating as well. Even, let's look at Rivian, because we know RIVN had some shots fired at it by Mr. Musk, saying that if they're not willing to sleep in the factory for their R2, then what are they even doing here, right? So Rivian right now, actually today is kind of interesting. We're seeing a little bit of a recovery, some higher highs and higher lows with the exception of this lower low here just below VWAP. But yeah, I honestly think what Pedro had to say there was really interesting, and it's something that I think, you know, I find really fascinating as well. Sometimes, you know, as I've said, sometimes you can see stories on Twitter, and of course you always want to fact check them, make sure they're accurate, make sure you have some kind of proof or article associated. But I think sometimes there is a lot of news circulating around on Twitter, so it can be very helpful, and it can also, it's interesting how it can move the market. Thank you very much as well. Thanks, Neil, for putting the specific story there in the chat with the Associated Press having its Twitter account hacked shortly after the Boston Marathon. So thank you for that. I didn't remember that exact story, but I think this is an interesting one. For sure. Yeah, kind of to go back to the markets here, I know Frank Boso saying this is the NVIDIA short entry. I think with these two candles to the upside and that move back up here off of VWAP, this is not a short I want to enter in right now. If we have another rejection off that 900 area where I entered that previous short, because I find that is where we have the strongest fight here. Also, if you look here earlier, we did have that continue to move up on NVIDIA, mind you, but that 900 area is where we had a bit of a pause with these doji-esque candles. So I until we get back to that 900 area, I don't really want to touch NVIDIA. But I see what you mean. There could be a rejection here off that 9 EMA. It's just not one that I really want to play with right now. This Tesla short, though, I'm happy with for the time being. I'll be happy with this until we kind of get into around that 178 area. Really, I'm just trying to scalp this if we get down to 177s. So let's actually get that ready if we do get down here. This is a really, really short area, just kind of trying to get more comfortable. The stocks that I've had the most success with today, so the Tesla, the IWM, and the NVIDIA, have been scalp, 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 scalp. And with that, yeah, I said scalp way too many times there. But especially with that NVIDIA scalp, I was there for less than a minute. So that's really the type of movement I'm trying to get involved in. Getting involved, A, at levels that I like, B, for reasons that make sense to me, and C, as short as possible. And if we have that, I'll be tickled pink. I'll be happy.
What is going on with Li Auto?
Whew.
It's up almost 10%. Morgan Stanley price target increase. What is happening? All right, here, Li Auto maintained overweight by Morgan Stanley. Price target raised to $74 from $63. What the bad word? Bro, come on, man. Come on. Yeah, well, I knew it all along. It's okay. Trading is easy, guys. Trading is very easy. Just punch. As long as you go Li Auto, says Neil. Trolling me fully there. Shout out to the Neil. Yeah, he's a troller extraordinaire, man. Yeah, I do look hurt, Rock. I am hurt, man. Look, I still believe in Li Auto, and it's just the way it is, guys. They perform, and the other ones don't, and that's just what it comes down to. Some guy in the chat the other day was comparing Rivian to Li Auto, and I got to give Rivian a little credit. I got to give them credit here because I like where they're going with this. They know where the market is. It's for the smaller and more affordable cars. And they're not just going to push that luxury R1T and R1S. We saw how big of a company Tesla maxed out at when they focused on the X and the S, and how big they expanded once they released and were able to scale the 3 and the Y. So I like what Rivian is doing. I think that they're trying to copy this Tesla, the Tesla stencil. I mix those two words together.
Yeah.
Right? But yeah, that's really interesting. But I still think Li Auto is the king of, well, not the king. BYD is the king of Chinese ADRs. It's the prince of Chinese ADRs. I'm going to say Li Auto well ahead of XPEV and NIO. That's just my, it's darkness. The darkness. Yes, darkness is spreading, baby. Shout out to Neil. He knows exactly what I'm talking about. What do you got over there?
Yeah, what I have is a Tesla trade that's slowly going against me, but no reason to leave because we're still below my areas of interest. What's happening?
Do you like Chappelle Show, Sean? All right, hold on. We're going to have to do a little bit of a test. Who is the top 5 rapper of all time? This is an easy one. Go, Sean. I love it. Dylon. Because he spits hot fire. He's a bit. Today's a good Tuesday on the floor. Sorry to interrupt you, Adara. We did like that whole thing. I apologize.
It's okay. Yeah. It's okay. I knew the Dylon thing, but I didn't know it came from the Chappelle Show. So learning new things every day.
It is, yeah.
Also learning new things every time. I couldn't come up with a good transition for that. I'm still in Tesla. I am the human shrug emoji. NVIDIA broke above 900. I'm very happy I didn't go short this at that point. Whew! NVIDIA. Continue. Oh, looks like we're maybe struggling at 900. I feel like I'm a sports announcer. I don't know what's happening here with this NVIDIA. I don't think NVIDIA knows what's happening, but that VWAP bounce was beautiful. That was a nice look here. Speaking of VWAP bounces, one name that kind of bounced off VWAP earlier and then sort of didn't again is continuing to chop here is Meta. The range is both getting higher and lower, so the range is gridly expanding. I don't have a huge read on this right now, but Meta looks like it could be trying to climb higher. Interesting look. Right now, though, Tesla's trying to test above that 178. If it gets above 178, I have to be leaving. I'll be thrown out of the Roadster. I'm joking. I'll just quietly exit the Cybertruck. I don't know. But we'll be out of this trade if we break above 179 because I like that chop and churn here. I still like the point of entry. I thought we were going to break down because that was the previous area of pseudo resistance becoming support that we did kind of chop and churn there for quite some time. But that's okay. You know, trades don't always work out, and then you got to leave. As Adele once said, sometimes it lasts in law, or sometimes it lasts in trades, and sometimes it hurts instead. To paraphrase an Adele lyric from someone like you. But we're gonna have to see here. I do like. Oh, we're getting the bang button.
That isn't me,
someone.
guys. That's Ram. All right.
Thank you.
I'm not
Much
hitting the
appreciated.
button for Adele here. That's hearsay, she said.
Hearsay. Ooh, hearsay. I love when she just shouts hearsay. It's a good time. But yeah, I think that this Tesla look, I'm happy with right now. We are rejecting that 178. Thank you, Moon Man. Trying to work on my analysis every day. So let's see how this goes here on Tesla. Meta trying to pump higher. NVIDIA pumping higher, I guess, at 18.4 for the Q.
18.4, Dara. We're right back there after claiming 18.4 earlier, 18.457. We dipped aggressively, held VWAP, though. That was the nice part on this look here. And now we're right back at that key level again, the 100-point level, 18.4, and we got a bounce on all these Mag 7 names. Don't think that this move here in the future is in isolation. Look at Google at day's high, 139.34. Softy on its way to day high, 414.45. Look at Apple breaking above the range again and breaking through this earlier crest. We got to 173 and we topped out. Now we're at 173 and a fifth. So Apple moving, even the Amazonian moving as well, coming off that 175 and a quarter, which is, I think, just a couple of pennies here above VWAP. So if you were waiting at VWAP on Amazon, you were well rewarded there with a dollar winner up into that 176 and a fifth. So everything curling up here. It's just a matter of, number one, do we hold? Break and hold above 18.4. That's number one. Number two, if we do, which name do we take? Do we take the future? Do we get into one of these Mag 7 names on the day? Questions to be had. And it's funny that we're making this 18.4 touch here as we get a lot closer to power hour, Adara. About half an hour, or not half an hour, about 37 minutes, 37 minutes left on the show. And, you know, typically we don't get these nicer moves till a little bit later. But, yeah, definitely things to keep an eye out on. If you're just joining us, we did get a 10-year note auction at 1 o'clock. And it was
higher, a little bit higher.
A little bit higher than expected. Right now I'm looking at my chart, and the 10 years trading at 4159. So I think, what was the print? 416 something, right?
I think it was 416,
yeah. So it looks like it dipped a little bit lower than that since the print came out. What is being said here? GC, Lee can't seem to hit 40, short it or long it. Let the price action dictate to you. I don't even have Lee up. Let me load up Lee Auto over here. Lee isn't one that I typically trade. I don't think Lee is a great day trading stock. It's above 40, guys. It did break above 40, got to $40.90. So that 40 resistance has come and gone, up 9 3/4 on the day, and the volume is there on Lee Auto on the day. I mean, typically volume on Lee Auto is a little sparse, but we have about 9 1/3 million shares. By comparison, XPEV has done 7.94, so it's done more. NEO obviously takes the cake with respect to volume, 26 3/4 million shares there. Benson, Adair, Sharif, appreciate the Learn to Trade show, especially after getting laid off yesterday. Thanks for dropping hot knowledge to me, getting back into trading. Cheers from Van City. Benson, I'm sorry to hear about that, my man. I'm sure you'll bounce right back, but stick with us every day if you want to learn about trading the big kahunas, taking you through that hot time of the day, right at the open, or from 8:30 to 11 when it's really hot, and then when things slow down a little bit, we try to give you a bit of a more educational perspective rather than vocational practical like the big kahunas are doing there. Adair and I are on every day from 11 to 2. Do we have that lesson?
I was going to say, yeah, let's do the last lesson once I throw myself out of the Cybertruck. We're out of the Cybertruck, so yeah, let's do the lesson. I got out here, it's boring. We got above 178. I had to leave. That's okay. It's all right, on to the next one. But for now, the only thing we're on to is the lesson, which is going to be trading strategies for volatile markets. Where did I put my PowerPoint? There it is. Here we go. Don't you love it when you're dragging a document and then you can't tell where you put it on the computer? Good times. On the screen. I use a computer like an elderly woman. Good times. But trading strategies for volatile markets are also a very good time, and there's a lot to talk about here, especially given the volatility we've had today, NVIDIA, Bitcoin, etc. So breakout strategies are one strategy we want to talk about because during volatile periods, prices can break through resistance or support levels a little bit more readily. So you need to be ready. And you can be ready through some of these strategies, including identifying support and resistance levels. So look for areas where price has bounced off of previously. Kind of see these bounces, see how we're holding. If we're holding, maybe you want to go long. If we're breaking below that support area, maybe you want to go short. Just being aware of these levels and watching how they interact. Wait for a confirmed breakout, though, of course. A strong price move beyond the level with increased volume can possibly suggest a trend confirmation or trend continuation, sorry. Also, you want to make sure you want to set your stop loss orders. So volatility can be really unpredictable. We always talk a lot about risk management, but especially in volatile markets, make sure that you are placing your stop loss orders just below support, or I guess just above resistance if you're in a short, just below support if you're in a long, to make sure that you're limiting potential losses that can stem from all trades, but especially these more volatile trades. Scalping strategies. Scalping will involve taking advantage of small, frequent price movements, and it can be a really good fit, especially for volatile markets, because it focuses on these short-term moves. So you aim to capture these small profits quickly and exit the trade before the market reverses. Killer Katina, as Sharif calls them, we see Sean all the time taking these trades with larger shares and just getting in and out, skating through the markets here with that share size. So I think that's, one example. It's really just these small short-term movements, getting in there with a lot of oomph and trying to make as much as you can and get out of that trade quickly. Reducing exposure is also really important because you're going to be in and out of these trades faster. It helps limit your risk to limit the risk of your exposure to volatile swings, and that's honestly what drew me to scalping as someone who's a little bit more risk averse. I like that you're in the trades for shorter. Also worth noting, technical indicators, of course, always to keep an eye on. You want to be able to use tools if they're applicable, right? If they're interacting with that stock, you want to use these tools like moving averages or relative strength index to identify short-term entry and exit points. I cannot wait to ask you about that trade after this lesson because I just saw what got added to your position board. I have questions. Also, baiting strategies, these could be a little bit riskier, especially if you're in some volatility, but this is going to involve betting against the prevailing momentum. But because you have these sharp price movements, even during volatile markets, these can be interesting to play. They're often, because you have these sharp price moves, they can be followed by corrections, and here's how. You might want to identify overbought or oversold conditions. Look for indicators like RSI, as we just mentioned, nearing extreme levels to suggest a potential reversal. You also might want to enter opposite trades. So if the market is rallying excessively, consider a short position, or if you're looking at a steep decline, a long position could be a fade candidate if you're coming into, as we mentioned earlier, levels of support et resistance. And last but not least, your strict risk management. Fading can backfire if the trend continues, so you want to be able to cut your losses and get out of there, get out of Dodge ASAP. Use tight stop loss orders to manage risk. Sorry for banging the table a little bit there. My elbow flew back there with the viciousness. Last but not least, some option strategies. We did talk about these earlier. You can check out that previous How to Trade lesson that week on options. There we are. Sharif wearing a very similar polo. They're not the same polo because I know I've asked about that. Yeah. But he's wearing a very similar polo. Oh, there we go. And I'm wearing the same blazer I'm wearing in that photo, oddly enough. So go check us out there on How to Trade with those option strategies. But some of these that you can use for volatile markets include bull call and bear put spread. So bull call spread is going to be if you purchase a long call with a lower strike and simultaneously short a call with a higher strike in the same expiration. So the maximum gain is going to be the difference between the long and the short call, and the trade is going to increase in value as the stock price rises. Now the bear put is going to be the exact opposite. So the trade will increase in value as the stock price falls because it's a short. Also worth noting, straddles and strangles. We have a whole lesson during which we talk about these ad nauseum, but really straddles are going to involve purchasing a call and a put at the same strike price and expiration, and you're going to get a profit if the stock makes a big move in either direction. Strangles involve purchasing slightly out of the money calls and puts with the same expiration. You're going to make a profit if there's an influx of volatility resulting in a big move in either direction. But for now, I have a question about that Lee Auto trade.
I tried to get the 40 break and hold. It didn't hold. And then so I tried to get the top end of this resistance level over here at 95s. Didn't hold, so I got right back out. Yeah, small loss there as it heads back down. Well, I want it back down, Adira, because if we want to get back into this, we definitely want a better price, right?
That was a nice trend line, though. Lee Auto was looking really nice on that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, look, it's been holding the 50. Let's watch if it holds up in and around here. If it holds up here, maybe we'll get right back in. But the 50 period was on the 1. The 50 period on the 1 was support initially, and here's the second time now we've touched the 50 period. So I don't want to have too many losing trades on this. Very small losses so far, but we'll keep an eye on this 50 period here, see if it can get some support there. We'll continue to watch that. I'm also continuing to watch 18.4 in the future. We've been doing the wick shimmy dance, but from the south side, right? So that's kind of a little bearish here. In addition to the fact that it's doing the wick shimmy dance from the south side, it's also a lower high, right? So if we end up topping out here and rejecting 18.4 and making our way back down, that'll be a lower high, and then I think the bottom comes off the VWAP on the fuge, which is where we held up last time. So if we don't break and hold above 18.4 and start testing 18.457 on the June contract, then I think we continue to break this low over here below 18.3 and a quarter, which is the bottom end of the wicks below VWAP. VWAP on my chart's at 18.3 and a third. So we'll continue to watch this, but yeah, setting up right now for an 18.4 rejection as the closing or the candles are coming into 18.4 rejecting, and the closing prints are south, the lower side of 18.4, so the high 18.39s. And this is what I typically call the wick shimmy dance. Sometimes it takes 5-10 minutes. Sometimes it takes half an hour to reject that level. You just have to kind of watch it and see what it does. But if we do reject that level, then my thesis here is that we put in a lower high, and that will come with the pairing of the lower low. And so that, by extension, that means a break of VWAP. And that's kind of what I'm thinking here on the future to see if we get that level. But I should also mention that this level that we're basing out at, so we're doing the wick shimmy dance into 18.4, but the lower end of this range over here, which is at 18.3 and a quarter, is the top right there at 8.30, at 8.45, right? When we did that big boy huadunk on the CPI print, and then for whatever reason we got bought up again, then we tanked again. But the whole point is that the high end, the crest of that retracement off the huadunk at 8.30 is at the low end of this range. So technical levels recycling here on the future, so we'll have to give up that ghost as well. It's acting as a support level right now. So we'll continue to watch, see what the future gives us. But yeah, 18.4 in my sights. Eddie R, Adair, Sharif. What? You have to mimic Sharif in that butt?
Is the way you may, I don't, did you say butt in a certain way? I don't know.
I don't know. I have a friend who says butt yet.
Oh.
And it gets me very upset. It's either but or yet. They're synonyms, right? Like, Adara, I went to the park, but my foot was hurt. Adara, I went to the park, I couldn't run around. I couldn't say it in that case, but you know what I'm saying? I set
like
myself
the
up there.
specific scenario there, too. With you going to the park and hurting your foot.
It's either or, man, and this guy says but yet all the time. I don't know what I said with respect to but let me know if I say it funny, I guess. I don't know. Let's continue to watch here. NVIDIA right back up above 900, Katina, man, after it did that dip right into VWAP, and it held VWAP like a dang glove. All the closing prints here north of VWAP, and it is on its way back above that 900 print. The top of this 5-minute candle is around 903.5. The high of the day that we have to contend with is exactly at 912 and not a penny higher or lower. So NVIDIA recycling these levels and looking to go back upside again, yet again on the monster, AKA NVDA. What say you, Adair Panera?
Oh, I like that. Adara Panera. Yeah, I mean, we're trying to make some bread here. We're trying to make some Panera bread in this IWM trade. I have to say, shout out to Mahmood. I was in this short earlier, but then got out of the short, had it on my side chart, was not paying it any attention. Then Mahmood says in the chat, are you thinking about this long? This was a while ago, but then I remembered that, and I was like, let's pull up this chart. And I do like it long. I like this hold of the 90 MA. I'm only taking this to 204.20s. Now I have, how many shares do I have in this? Okay, I only have enough for one beak wetter, so if we get to that 204.20, I'm gonna be getting out, but I'll continue to play this range. Really, honestly, I think this long off that 203.60 was obviously a nicer look, but for my little scalpy purposes, I'll be happy if we get 204.20s, and I'll keep taking it up and down this 90 MA.
Pamp it.
I have no issue with that. Sharif saying pamp it. I say pamp it. We should be out. We should be getting out of this post-haste. I might have punched out of it. Oh, we fell right up. That's cool. Hopefully we'll get back up. Not hopefully. I don't want to say hopefully, but you know. I anticipate a move back into the 204.20 area, at which place I shall be getting out of the trade. I don't know why I went British there, but I did, and it happened. There were also Eclectic Passions enjoyed some of your jargon there, saying, nice jargon there, Sharif, the top of the quadunk. They liked that. So yeah, it's really, I like how we say certain things. Eclectic Passions is a great name.
I like it.
Yeah.
Top of the Huadunk. I like your name, Eclectic Passions. We shall be shouting you out more often now because your name is so whimsical. I do like it, Adara.
Yeah.
Rumble just printed a new high of day. So this one inching on its way into that $8 area, guys. Bit of a topping tail candle put in there. But look at the subsequent candle. Exactly the opposite, a hammer candle coming in. So that dip into the 10 period got bought up just like that, and right back up we go into the high 780s. So let's see if we hold up at this area. Why? Because that's the top end of the consolidation range over here, around 780, 778. That's where we actually found resistance. That is until this candle over here at 115 when we were able to break and hold above that level. So for whatever reason, 780, 778 in and around that area is acting as a level of support, but no surprise. I mean, that we sell in front of 8, the whole dollar area typically is a psychological area of resistance. And so the high on the day right now is 797. This thing is up 17.5%. Rumble, great name. Again, we talked about this a little bit earlier. Rumble writing an open letter to their friends at TikTok, basically saying, hey, look, guys, if you guys are forced to divest, we will be happy to join with another consortium and buy you guys out. And here's the short float on RUM. So the float, according to Trade Ideas, is around 77.5 million. And the short float is about 22.81 exactly of that 77.5 is actually short. People have borrowed those shares to short them. So there is a very good short float here. So if we do squeeze to the high side, we could definitely see some parabolic movements and volatility to stay with the theme of the week on RUM. And again, the whole thing that I was making, the argument I was making earlier is that this could be an interesting arbitrage opportunity to see, if they do end up getting the consortium together there and they're able to buy or take over TikTok, if that even goes through, then this thing could definitely have a way bigger move and a way bigger market cap than what we're looking at here. So we'll have to watch. And then here's the thing, though, and you and I talked about this before. I mean, when they take over, if Rumble or whatever company comes to take over this divested TikTok, again, it's only TikTok USA.
That's
it's
true,
only
too.
that 170 million accounts. They're probably going to grow, but they don't have that global reach. They can't share resources. They can't pool resources. They can't share information. So your algorithm, the algorithm that they come up with, can they share it with any other TikTok company, like the one that's owned by ByteDance? Like, is this even going to be TikTok anymore? Or is it just going to be TikTok on the face of it, and then the entire company is going to be different because they can't share any of this information? I mean, so many questions to be asked here.
Maybe they should call it like Rum and Coke, because it's like the Rumble one. But no, in all seriousness, I just thought of that. It actually might be a fun name. But in all seriousness, though, too, what are you going to do? Like, the duets where people will duet in different countries?
Yeah.
You can only do duets in the U.S. I see what you mean. It actually changes the way that you make the content. Yes. And not on TikTok very much, and I know about the duets. Also, it's interesting too. I was even seeing this yesterday. I need to read more about the people calling the senators. But I know Charlie D'Amelio and Dixie D'Amelio, along with their manager parents, are now they're selling footwear now, because I guess they already had a small footwear brand, but now they're trying to widen the footwear brand. Really? I believe with Shopify, because the dad's like, now we're worried about TikTok. So, they've always.
Yeah, I know. They were huge.
Thank you, Ramin, for clarifying that.
Remember when TikTok just started making their name as a big... Remember when they switched from Musical.ly to TikTok? That's when Charlie and her sister... Dixie, thank you. I remember seeing them first ever at the NBA All-Star game. And they're like, these are TikTok stars. I'm like, okay, I don't know who they are.
These girls, okay.
And then you look them up on TikTok, and they had 60-something million followers.
Yeah.
So that wasn't a joke, right?
That's
and then
crazy.
that's kind of when you knew that this TikTok thing was for real. And then we saw where it went. So kids should not use TikTok, says Why Brothers United. I think a lot of parents would probably agree with you on that. Enforcing that, probably a bit of a different story. But yeah, man, look, I mean... We all know it's well documented the effects of social media on kids and stuff like that. We don't have to go there. We all know exactly what that's about. Justin Time says, I'll be pleased as rum punch. I like it, Justin.
So am I with that. I'm pleased with that pun.
Do you have any rum? Calm down, bro. All right, Adara, we're above 18.4 in the future here. So are we doing the wick shimmy dance, or are we going to claim 18.4? It looks like as if we're doing a push here. So the future could be headed back into that 50-point area or thereabouts. That's where we topped out earlier, guys. 18.457 HOD. But we'll have to break and hold above 18.4, not just these perfunctory breaks, and then south, a closing print south of 18.4. Well, let's watch the future. What are you guys watching over there, man? You guys share. Share, man.
I did hear that, Coolio.
I'm getting me jealous a little bit. Gangster's Paradise, okay. Rushaba Shah, could we take a look at MCRB? I just shorted at 80 pennies, absolutely. Let's look at MCRB. Pulled up that bad boy. I don't know where my other chart is. There it is. Let's bring it in. Bitcoin is back above 70,000 for anybody who cares. Just CRB. Let's see what we got here. Okay. So this name is down about 7% on the day. The market cap is $120 million. The float is about 120 million shares, so about the same thing there. Let's put in the ticker, MCRB. Let's find out what the short float is. Thanks to Trade Ideas, use TraderTv20 for 20% off that, so you can get the same thing that I got here, MCRB. Decent short float there, about 15%, 14.89 of the float is shorted, so not negligible, something to be aware of. Now, what's the price action look like? Okay, so we clearly have a closing print yesterday at 86 pennies, all right, which also happens to be the high of day. So definite resistance at 86 pennies. Now, we're at 80 pennies right now, just breaking above VWAP. We were able to find reprieve at that 76 penny area, and we started curling back up. I don't know anything about this company. I don't know what they do. I don't have any other information other than the float and the short float. Let's look at the daily. What's the chart look like? Okay, so yeah, down and to the right, 38 bucks at the height of the pandemic, and now we're trading sub $1. How many charts have we seen that echo that kind of look? But sadly, it looks like we made all-time lows here. Let's go to the weekly or monthly. See if these are actually all-time lows. Yes, it is. Okay, so this 75.99 print that we put in today, 75 cents, basically 76 cents, that's the all-time low. So you're going with the trend, no question about that. You've caught the trend. This thing's printing all-time lows. It's just about whether you're going to hold on the day because, well, look at the preceding days. It's all been making lower highs and lower lows. It was really yesterday that we really tanked off that, rejected that dollar area. We got up to 99 and change, about 99 and a third pennies, and then we rejected that level and ended up printing about 20 pennies lower at, 14 pennies lower at 86. So, you know, I don't really usually look at these names, but let's see what the headline was yesterday, 11. What is this? Short-term bearish event. Okay, so here's an entry on the blotter from yesterday. Market Gardener preview. The company's fundamentals look very poor, making an investment in its shares purely speculative. Okay, so I guess maybe that's what sold it off yesterday because I don't really have a reason for that whole 15% drop that we got yesterday, and then another precipitous drop today, 7%. Look, I don't know. I mean, I'd look to short into a key area of resistance. You're getting short right at VWAP, which is not a bad look. You're looking for a VWAP rejection. I hope you the best. I wish you the best on this. Not a stock I know too much about, and not a stock class that I trade often, that sub $1 category, but yeah, fantastic. I hope you the best. It's obvious you're in the right direction because clearly it's been a short for a while.
Yeah, that's true. That McRib reminded me, there's a company reporting tonight called Arcos Dorados, and I was thinking that sounds like Golden Arch in Spanish, and it looks like, the logo looks like the McDonald's logo, so this is what the Arcos Dorados logo looks like. I'll just pull it up here. But so basically, yeah, so I was thinking about this with the McRib thing because MCRB, you know, my brain thinks McRib. Arcos Dorados is a company that owns the master franchise of the fast food restaurant chain McDonald's in 20 countries within Latin America and the Caribbean. So it's this Latin American and Caribbean subsidiary of McDonald's. So that's actually reporting tomorrow morning. So I just had that ARCO on the brain. But also Thomas Johnson would like me to confirm if we have a inverse cup and handle on the SPY on the 1 minute. I have to tell you, I'm not really sure. I see what you mean. We did have these earlier. We had these lower highs, lower lows. Then we come down. But you know what? What I'm seeing beyond the fact that we had this move down here is look where we had that move down. We come into previous support. We come into resistance here on the 513.70. Look where we have that double bounce here. same area, then we curl back up, right? So I have to tell you, I'm not really sure this is an inverse cup and handle. Sometimes, patterns don't always come to fruition. And I think as well, I've talked about this a little bit with regards to my journey in attempting to trade the IWM. I made it seem like it was that deep. It's not that deep. I'm just trying to trade the stock. But basically, sometimes with ETFs, the chart movement matters a little bit less than, or a little bit more than, the price movement, the price action matters a little bit more than the chart patterns, especially on the 1 minute, right? So if you look at this on the 5 minute, I have to say what I'm seeing on the 5 minute is kind of more, we had lower highs, or so higher highs, higher lows, right? So I see what you mean. It does look a little bit rounded, like we're trying to, make a handle here, but I wouldn't assume. I would kind of wait and see what happens. But I see what you mean, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to look at the spot. I think especially if you're looking at in the 1 minute, which is also, kind of a shorter time frame, I do think that double bounce off that 513.70 isn't a bad look. But I would say wait and see, and also keep in mind the higher lows in general. That's my take on the SPY. There we go. Also, yeah, Golden Arc there. That's what Eddie R is saying, that Arcos Dorados. Yeah, because I saw the name and I saw the logo and I was thinking that does kind of sound like the Golden Arch that we see with McDonald's. And that is, yeah, Golden Arch is plural, I guess, because they have all those franchises. But yeah, interesting look there for the Spanish subsidiary of McDonald's.
Sounds good.
Nice.
You got anything else over there?
Me?
Yeah?
Yeah, I mean.
What else are you looking at?
Oh, yeah, I can keep talking. Sorry, I was confused. IWM. I'm still, I was still dancing with that one. I'm out now, but so I had that short earlier that I talked about. I liked the level, and then we had that bond auction come out, help me a little bit, flush that guy to the downside. And then we got back in on the long off the 9 EMA, taking it to 204.20s. We took the short, same thing, but in the opposite direction. This 204.10 to 204.20 area has actually been pretty tasty, so I might continue to take little scalp scoops out of that. But I do like this look indeed. That's the thing I'm going to keep an eye on here.
We can talk some Prem.
Oh, we can talk,
I see Big Adam DeLuce back in the chat. How you doing, my guy? I'm good, Adam. How are you, brother? Watching today for the big Portal match. I see Hog Rider as well. Portal going to qualify. Arsenal not going through. Hog Rider, my man. Why are you doing that, bro? I mean, like, I looked at you as one of the good people in the chat. Now I'm going to have to rethink that whole thing. No, I'm kidding, of course. Hog Rider, look, man, Portal ain't doing nothing today. I believe actually it was about like 1 to 13 odds, something like that. Let's check it out. Okay, 1 to 11 odds. Arsenal wins today. So Porto's up 1-0 on aggregate. Now we all saw how that game ended. It was a last-minute winner in, I think, the 98th or something like that. It was 8 minutes of added time. They ended up scoring. We shut off for a second. But let me tell you something else. We played another team that were super cagey, wasted a lot of time, and wanted no part of our offense. They go by the name of Brentford, and they got whooped on Saturday 2-1. So we're ready for that, man. That is practice for what this game is going to be. It's going to be another cagey game where one team parks the bus and has no intention, no desire to go forward, save and except for maybe a counterattack here and there. And that was a perfect game for Arsenal to get into on the weekend because it's foreshadowed exactly what game we were going to have today. At least that's how I see it. So I think that it was a really good setup for us to play Brentford in that way on Saturday because I expect the very same game today. And if that is the case, I think we do come out on top. And yeah, and the thing is, too, think about this, Hog Rider. I mean, our players don't have much experience in the Champions League at the moment. So a lot of these growing pains, we're going to lose these games in that we should be winning. So totally expecting that, and I'm totally giving room for growing pains, I guess, right? I mean, they won the last game. They did, but. The Champions League qualification is 2 legs, right? Joe Schmo, what do you think about RGTI's chart pattern? Looks like it's on its way to $3. Let's look at RGTI. Let's bring it in over here. RGTI. I tried to short the Qs, by the way. I think I might have gotten a little early. We're still doing the wick shimmy dance at 18.4, so I'm going to wait until we fully reject 18.4 to get in. So let's look at RGTI right now. So what is this name? It's up 16% on the day. Okay, not a bad look here. Is it above the volume-weighted average price? Yes, it is. What's yesterday's price action? We're above yesterday's price action. Fantastic. All right, so what are the details on this company? $315 million market cap. The float, about 139 million shares. What's the zoomed out chart pattern look like over here? So it looks like decent, you know, since early February, and we've been doing higher highs and higher lows. So good, decent look for this name. What's the daily look like for RGTI? I'll give it a second to load. While that loads, I can look at some of the other comments here about Arsenal. Gorky says 2-1 Porto. All right, bro. And then Smooth says 4-0 to the Arsenal today. That's what I like. That's what I want to see. Let's see what else people are saying here. Porto, says Pedro Silva. Something tells me he might be interested in more theme. Anyway. $3 you say. Okay. So that is the resistance level that I would have been looking at here on RGTI. That is the resistance level on the daily. So good call on that. I think if we curl up and we continue curling, you could see 3, if not, 3 1/4, 3 1/3. We do have a couple of closing prints around that 3 1/4. So that's a good look for you. I love the curl. Michael Noss would be very pleased, I think. I don't want to put words in his mouth, but typically when he sees this rounded bottom, buy the smiley faces, he says, sell the frowny faces. So if you're looking at a half circle from the bottom half, it typically is a buy signal. So good for you for identifying that. And it's a good look on the daily chart as well. So we'll see how this one ends up doing. On the day, I don't know if it hits $3 though. I don't think we've had enough momentum to really break above the high, which is 222 right now. So we'll wait and see what we get here, Adair.
Yeah. No, that's it. I was going to say, too, I really like that rounded bottom there on our GTI as well. Nice little, continued movement upwards. Also, yeah, I honestly just had a little bit of fun scalping that IWM short one more time. Sorry for that. But yeah, took that, basically continued to take that short off that 204.20 area. We were pausing a little bit earlier than I thought, so I got it at the 204.16. Honestly, I think this is going to revert to a full-time long, but in 7 minutes, the midday will be over. But just in terms of, I'm liking this continued crawl up that 9 EMA. Initially, the bottom of that range was 204, and then it became 210. Now it's about 215. This range is getting tighter, and it looks like, especially coming into that 204.20 area, which, as I said, I think, and I don't want to, again, I want to clarify that I'm trying to avoid looking at our chart movement purely for these ETFs. However, if you have chart movement and you have price action on the book, which is also what I'm looking at, I think sometimes you can get a nice little confluent stew, even on these ETFs going. Look at that. Congrats to Sharif. I saw a fist pump there. Yeah. It's always a good sign. If you're the fist pump or the pump it or damp it, I guess in this case, then I'm like, there's something happening there on the other side of the desk in a good way.
We're rejecting 18.4 Adair. That's why I'm short the future right now.
Congrats. Yeah. Awesome. Nice move there. Rejection, shorting that future rejection. But yeah, basically this IWM, I just kind of liked it on these areas of support and resistance, and then also watching the book. That worked out well. Honestly, I have to say, I think, someone was asking me earlier, have you been checking to see if this is more profitable, your strategy of these short-term scalps? And I think today, regardless of whether or not it was profitable, I have to really tell you, I had the most success by far, the shorter trades I was in and the more scalpy I was. That IWM was successful, and I don't mean successful in a monetary way, I mean I felt good about it and it worked out for me because I was in and out. I guess like the burger franchise, I was in and out very quickly. This NVIDIA trade was actually less than a minute. You know what I mean? So I think really, I do think I want to keep sticking with and trying to get better at executing these teeny tiny short-term strategies based on levels I've pre-identified that I like. So that's my takeaway from that, and I'm really happy to learn. I feel confident with today.
Now, you brought up in and out.
I did. I've never been.
Have you ever had the burger animal style? I know you don't like spice, so you may not, I don't know. Have you?
I know there's a song called Animal Style by Murs. I've heard of the Animal Style burger. I've never been to LA.
Oh,
and they're only in LA, right?
They are.
Yeah.
Well, they're I think in California. I'm not sure.
The state of sorry, I should have made that clear. The Californian state.
Too. I don't even know. Fact check me. Are they on the West Coast or is it just California?
Is it good? The Animal Style burger. How spicy is it though? Because I know there's a lot of things on that burger.
But then again, you and I differ a little bit in that regard, right? But I love it. I gotta tell you the truth. I mean, it's like a well-known thing. You go in there, they ask you how you want it. You say animal style, they don't even think twice.
I know that's the main burger you get it in and out. Yeah.
And people are like, yo, worst fries. So it's West
Vegas.
Coast.
Okay, they have in Vegas.
So
as
Nevada's
well.
got a bunch. Thank you guys. Yeah, I didn't really know.
Thank you guys. I wasn't aware. Sorry about that.
They're in Texas as well. Thomas Johnson says. Okay, so it looks like they expand east. Some people even saying they're in Florida as well. Mike James says that they're in. Wow, Neil, it's like that, eh? It's like that, eh, Neil? Okay. Neil's out here throwing a lot of shade. No, I love In-N-Out. It's definitely, every time I visit my sister, man. I know, man. I know Noriega. N-O-R-E. Nori. You know exactly what I'm talking about. Yeah, he knows what I'm talking about. Adara, we didn't do a big boy Huadunk off that 18.4, so I got a little bit out. Let me cover this Q's trade real quick over here. Whoa, sound is still going, guys. So SOU is still, yeah. It did, yeah. So we got in quick for a nice 30 penny, nice. 40 penny winner there on the triple Qs. Still up 1% and right back into my entry. I don't think we're giving up the ghost here on the future. So I was able to capitalize on just a quick down move off 18.4. I don't know, man. Every time we dip off 18.4, we're right back into 18.4 again on the June contract. I think when the big kahunas come on in power hour, we might see a test back into the high of days on the NQ. 18.457 or thereabouts is the high of day, and I don't know. I feel like the shorts on the futures today, not a good thing. So I got in, got out real quick, and right back again. Adara above the 18.4 level we go. Geez Louise, a lot of zigzagging today on some of these names.
Would you say that bamboozlement is real, as you once said?
Is real.
There we go. I feel like that sometimes really sums up the market well. So,
so
I think you said it about NVIDIA too, which is honestly one of the truest things that's ever been said about NVIDIA. And NVIDIA's like, oh, you're talking about me? I'm going to test 900 again. NVIDIA, I don't know why that was my NVIDIA voice, but cool. NVIDIA, yeah, this short, I was really happy with this short off that 900 area, just taking that to 897. But yeah, I mean, I think 900 is my clearest level in NVIDIA, not just because it's a whole dollar level. I got a little too excited there. But I was really watching what we did here. And as we talk, we're trying to fail 900 again. I was watching this a couple times, that failure of 900. That's why I got in on the short. But also, I looked back earlier, too. We had a couple dojies at the 900 before we continued that march to the upside. So 900 giving NVIDIA a skosh of pause today. Then we had them move down off the 900. A little bit of waffling again at 900. Now it looks like we're trying to short 900. Or I'm not trying to, but it looks like NVIDIA is trying to die off 900 yet again. Mahmoud was saying that they think if NVIDIA breaks below 900, that could be a really good short. I think maybe, I can't believe the time has flown so quickly. It is already 1:52 p.m. This is crazy. Yeah, thank you very much to Bears versus Bulls here for being here. This is, what a day we've had. It's already 1:59.
Can you believe
these
Big
markets
Kyle
have been
Burdett
crazy.
spends $100 at Five Guys Burgers and Fries? Big Kyle, what are you doing over there, bro?
What is your meal? I think it's being sarcastic because of how expensive it is.
He is, but we do have Five Guys. Have we been to Five Guys here? Yeah, we have plenty of Five Guys around here. It's all over the East Coast as well. So it's not as exciting, I guess, to go to Five Guys as it is to In-N-Out. I mean, for me anyway. And when we got Chick-fil-A here, do you know what that lineup was like? There's one right by Bloor and Young.
Yes.
Yeah, there's one right there, right? When we first got it, Adara, the whole street, it wrapped around all the way down Yonge Street. So it's literally on the corner of Bloor and
Oh,
Yonge,
I know where that is, yeah.
All the way down Yonge Street, all the way south. It was ridiculous. It was like a 5-hour line.
That is
crazy. And there was a 1-8 Yorkdale as well. Ram went. The lineup was so long. She was invited. She had like a VIP because she's Ram to invitation to the Chick-fil-A grand opening. And she was waiting in there so long they gave her food.
That's crazy.
That's fantastic, Ram. Do you have any of that food left?
But you know what else is fantastic? I had a really fun time here. I hope you guys learned some. We had some volatility. I just jostled the turtle. But we will see you back tomorrow. Can't believe it's already 2. Same bat time. Same bat channel. For now, though, Brendo's at the big desk.
Hey guys, let's get you caught up here on what's happening as we head into the final couple of hours on a busy Tuesday. Remember, started off way back when with inflation down.